TC Detachment 4.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise and remove your hats as the Centurion Battalion Accession Task Force California Army National Guard present our nation's colors. And now please welcome from Motor Racing Outreach, Tim Griffin, to deliver today's invocation.
Our God and Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for the privilege that we all have to be a part of this event. We pray your blessings on it. Take care of our drivers, our fans, keep them all safe, we ask. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
Please remain standing and welcome Hollywood Records recording artist and the star of the upcoming 20th Century Fox film Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Squeakquel, Jesse McCartney, for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Time to go to work for the drivers, time to go to work for the crews. A last-minute briefing from crew chief to driver, Kenny Francis there, with some last-minute instructions for Casey Kane, Kyle Busch, and Joe Gibbs Racing competition director Jimmy Makar with a chat there. We'll see how long Kyle stays on board that 8 team. Let's settle in and see how this race plays into the chase. The engines fire in California next. Shine on the stars of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series as race 4 in the chase for the Sprint Cup unfolds at the Auto Club Speedway in the shadow of Hollywood. To borrow the line from the movie trailers, in a world where... For drivers, it's a world where you're judged solely on your results. What have you done lately? Will today be a day to gain ground in the championship? A day to take home a trophy after a hard-fought win? Or a day when a mistake casts the dream of holding the cup into doubt or puts it out of reach entirely? The drivers are buckling in. The crews are getting ready to go to work. The only way to see how all this turns out is to go trackside and get these cars fired up.
Race fans, it is time for the most famous words in motorsports. To give that command, please welcome the star of the new ABC comedy series, Hank, airing Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., 4-time Emmy Award winner, Kelsey Grammer.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Thank you. All right, bud. All right. Fire it up when you're ready. Whoa. Remind me every time. Just say 13 or put the speed line. All right. Fine.
Like Casey Kane's still getting ready to go. Well, we've had a red carpet. The curtain's about to go up on an event we hope becomes an epic. All we need now are 3 dashing men to lead us through the story. Anybody know where we can find that? Oh, wait, they're up in the booth. Dale Jarrett, Andy Petrie, and Dr. Jerry Punch. Gentlemen, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Alan, and hello, everyone. Glad to have you with us. Folks, here in the shadows of Hollywood, it is all about entertainment. So when NASCAR moved this race later in the year, but earlier in the day, that's exactly what they had in mind. And after watching the NASCAR Nationwide race here yesterday, guys, they just might have hit a home run.
Yeah, for some reason, this California Speedway really does open up for a lot better racing when you get the sun on it. Now, we got a little cloud layer here, a little thin layer. Hopefully it burns off quickly. And when it does, this track is really going to get wide. The groove is going to go top to bottom, and even on the apron. We saw some of the best action we've seen all year long in the Nationwide Series here yesterday.
Yeah, and talking to these drivers, they like the idea that they're going to have pretty consistent track conditions to race. It gives them the idea that they can make adjustments to their race cars, give information back to their crew chiefs that is going to help them as they make these pit stops. And they're racing in conditions that won't necessarily put them racing into the sun later in the day. We should be finished with this race before the sunset starts, so they don't have that fighting going into turn 3.
Guys, just 99 points separate the top 6 in the standings after 3 races, which is the closest it has ever been in the history of this chase. How could that impact your decision making today?
Well, it's just nowhere to hide. I mean, you got all these guys on top of each other. They're racing so hard. You got to have probably a top 5 average finish to win this championship. So you have to go out there and try to win every week. I mean, there's just nothing you can do but run as hard as you can.
Yeah, the object obviously is to gain as many points as you can, but to doing that, you're trying to win races. This is a very wide racetrack, but you have to be extremely careful as a driver. Turns 2 and turns 4 can bite you if you're not careful. You have to know who's on the outside. Just like here yesterday, this was right up front, battling for the lead. We see Greg Biffle come to the outside of Denny Hamlin. He makes a little bit of a mistake here, and it costs the 18 car a lot of points for their championship. So you really have to be aware of your surroundings. Fast speeds over 200 miles an hour, things happen in a hurry, so you really have to be conscious of what's going on around you.
Well, the man who is #1 in points and also maybe #1 in the hearts of millions of fans as the sentimental favorite is our in-race reporter today. He drives the Kellogg's CarQuest Chevy from the 9th starting spot. Let's talk with Mark Martin.
Hey, Mark, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Yes, sir, Dale. Gotcha.
All right, man, thanks for talking with us today. And Mark, as a driver, do you like the fact that you won't be racing into the challenging or changing conditions of night as we've done here in the past?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is going to be way better. Practicing during the day and racing at night is a challenge, especially here. So this is going to be great. It's a beautiful day. Hopefully the sun's going to peek out later on. 500 miles is a long, long way. Can't wait to get this thing started. The guys have got me a great race car here, and we're just going to fight, grind all day long here.
Hey, Mark, in yesterday's Nationwide race, we literally saw racing from the apron to the very top of the racetrack against the wall. Are you ready to make changes like that for whatever you need to do, or are you going to be pretty much committed to the bottom the short way around all day?
I'm always committed to the bottom, but I'm always open to moving up. Doesn't work out as well for me. Usually I run slower when we do it, but definitely, we will give it a try without a doubt. But most of the time for me, I can make more speed around the bottom of the racetrack. So we'll see what the track has for us as we get going here.
All right, Mark, this last question comes from our ESPN mailbag, and Emily in Tustin, California asks, it says, even though this track is similar to Michigan, many think it's more difficult to get a handle on. Do you have the car to win today?
Yeah, we've got a good car, and it's a long race. We might be able to win this thing. Just depends on how things fall. I'm very happy with the car. It's comfortable. The racetrack is a little bit different than Michigan, and you seem to fight a little bit different conditions here, mostly loose, spinning the tires up off the corner, if you can believe that, on a 2-mile racetrack. So we got a pretty comfortable setup under this thing, and we'll see what we can do for 500 miles.
All right, Mark, thanks a lot for taking the time to talk with us today. Have a great race. And now Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Alan Gustafson.
Hey, Alan, Andy Petrie in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, Andy, I got you, bud.
Hey, Alan, yesterday in happy hour, you guys were at the top of the sheet, and I saw you in the garage area with everything flying out of that car. You were changing trailing arms and everything else, looking for something better. When do you decide that the car's good enough?
Well, we just try to take advantage of every opportunity we have to make it better, and it's a testament to this team. All these guys in this Call's Carquest Chevy work hard, and we couldn't do it without a great team like Mike Bumgarner and all the guys that work on this thing. They do a great job, put this thing on the racetrack and make those changes quickly and accurately. So just trying to get all we can get, what we're paid to do, and just doing the best we can.
Okay, Alan, let's get back to work. Good luck today. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, Andy.
Aside from Mark Martin, we will have onboard cameras in 7 other cars. All total, we will have 6 chase contenders. Carrying cameras will take you inside the battle. Juan Pablo Montoya has never had a top 10 finish here. Carl Everest looking for win number 1 on the season. Back after this message and a word from our ABC station. We are just moments away from the start of the Pepsi 500 here at Auto Club Speedway in Southern California. This broadcast is available in Spanish by activating your SAP button presented by ESPN Deportes. Take a look at our starting grid across the top of your screen. Denny Hamlin becomes a 10th different pole winner in 2009, picking up his first pole of the year. The top 4 starters are all chase contenders. There are 7 chase contenders starting 20th on back, including last week's winner, Tony Stewart. Well, you've heard about ill-handling race cars. What about an ill-feeling driver? For more, here's Jamie Little.
Well, Doc, just before Kyle Busch got in his car, he told Coach Gibbs, I wish I wouldn't have gotten out of the race car yesterday. I feel like we could have won. Then he went on to tell me this is the worst he has felt all weekend long, and he plans on getting out of the car maybe around the first caution. David Gilliland will get out of his car and will be on hold waiting for Kyle Busch's word. Shannon?
Well, in last night's nationwide race, Greg Biffle and Joey Logano spiced things up on the racetrack. Now, not only will those drivers have to face each other on the track today, their pit stalls are separated by only an opening on pit road. So will things transfer over today? The teams don't seem to think so. They know that NASCAR is watching, and the last thing these teams want at this point in the season is a penalty. Vince?
The chase driver starting deepest in the field today is Ryan Newman. He will roll off 36th. This team is 9th in points and feeling the pressure after a disappointing 22nd place finish last week at Kansas. They know they have to make something happen today. Top 10 or better, and they're prepared to roll the dice to get it. Dave?
Vince, Jimmy Johnson is on the opposite end of the spectrum, 2nd in points, and runs great here at Auto Club Speedway. In fact, when they moved this race from Labor Day to this weekend, I think they did them another favor. You'll have to go through the 48 car if you're going to win today in Fontana. Doc?
Thank you, guys, and how appropriate that our 2 over-the-wall camera-carrying crew members today would be nicknamed West Coast and Hollywood. There on the left of your screen, Mark Hollywood Armstrong, front tire changer for Robbie Gordon, and on the right, Ryan McRae, the rear tire carrier for Paul Menard. The nickname is West Coast. 250 laps, 500 miles here. It is stop number 4 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. There is the pit road speed in that pit window here, 41 to 44 laps. Not a lot of banking here, guys.
Yeah, you see right there at 14 degrees makes it pretty slick. But right here, Dale, I'm looking at Denny Hamlin's taking this outside for the start. He has the option.
We saw this happen pretty much every restart yesterday. Only one time did we see somebody choose the inside, but let's see how this works out for him. We both I kind of believe that the inside might be the way. Denny Hamlin believes otherwise as we get ready to go racing.
The stars and cars of NASCAR taking center stage here in Southern California as the green flag waves. Already 3 wide coming off of turn 2. Very wide racetrack. We saw 3 and 4 wide racing here on Saturday in the nationwide race.
I think that run Denny Hamlin got off of turn 2 is exactly why he chose that. He's driving the car. That's why he chose that. He knows what was going to happen, but he could actually keep that inside car pinned down a little bit coming out of 2, but Denny's able to get the lead.
Johnson and Biffle side by side for second spot. Coming across, it will be Biffle who will just at Jimmy Johnson, who's trying to make a move on the inside. Behind them is the 42 of Montoya.
You see Kevin Harvick in that 29 car. He's been fast here all weekend long. They would really like to get a win here today. But look at Montoya.
Yeah, he had an idea of trying to make it 3 wide on the outside of Biffle right there. Now he's just going to push him a lot and actually push him into the wall.
This is very aggressive for anybody to be racing this hard early in the race. That's bump drafting and Looks like Biffle even got against the wall a little bit on the back stretch.
Oh, Montoya slips up a couple of car lengths here. The car sliding up the racetrack.
Yeah, we're going to see him utilize this entire racetrack, especially as this fog burns off a little bit more and we get some more sunshine on the racetrack.
The Montoya's teammate, the one car there, Martin Truex Jr., got to believe they've got the same or very similar setups. He's very racy early on, trying to follow his partner. There's Truex looking back from Montoya as he tries to stay in front of him. Now Harvick will slide up in front of him.
We saw Harvick yesterday in his Nationwide car. He stayed committed to the bottom throughout the whole day. You have a lot of racing going on here. You see Tony Stewart making his way forward already.
3 chasers, Martin, Edwards, and Stewart, 12th, 13th, and 14th.
Whoa, look at Hornish get loose. He got the wall just a little bit there in the 77.
Now Jimmy Johnson looks downstairs to take the second spot away from Greg Biffle. Biffle may have qualified second, guys, but he really struggled with his car in happy hour in the final practice on Saturday.
Yeah, I spent some time with Greg Irwin, his crew chief, in the garage this morning, and they felt like the limited practice that they had here really had got them off a little bit because they thought they could run a similar setup that they ran at Kansas, and it just did not work out for them, and they were a little late getting off of it. Felt like they've made some changes today, and they thought they would be pretty good, so we'll see how it works out for them.
Now sliding back into the throes of Juan Pablo Montoya. We mentioned Montoya is the only driver of the 12 chasers who has never had a top 10 finish at this racetrack.
And Andy, those things that you just talked about coming from Kansas, you would think that a lot of that would translate. The banking's about the same. There's not a lot of grip here. Use the same tire. You would have thought that, coming here with a race car setup kind of like that may be close. That's what drives a driver and crew chief kind of crazy in this business.
Well, that's kind of what Greg Irwin said. He said, we really felt that way, that very strongly. He said, actually, Wednesday we made a decision that we were going to stick with this setup from Kansas and work around it. And they finally did have to get off of it in happy hour. Oh, it looks like Harvick got up against the wall a little bit. Man, everybody's touching that wall coming off that corner.
31 car almost against it as he came by. There is Jimmy Johnson second. See the battle third and fourth. Now we talked about the ill-filling Kyle Busch in the 18 car and David Gilliland standing by to get in the car as soon as Kyle gets out.
Yeah, he's standing by. He's right behind him. All he's got to do is look in the mirror. He's right there. That's Gilliland in that 71.
Vince?
David Gilliland, and the plan for him was to get out after about 6 laps. Well, that's the next lap, so Gilliland would be out and free of his car in time for Kyle Busch to get out of his car. So the target is 6 laps for David Gilliland in the 71. That's what we're coming upon now. So we'll keep an eye on the 71 and Gilliland, whether he goes to the garage or they make the change here on pit lane.
We might explain, Vince, how this works. The 71 car, David Gilliland driving the car now. They did not have enough funding to run the whole race, so they're going to start the car, and then we're going to go to the garage area and try to be able to develop funding for future events. That's why Gilliland would be available to get in the 18 car.
Yeah, he might be staying out there a little bit just so he can see how that 18 car is handling, so he knows what to expect.
Yeah, he might be radioing in already and say, well, it's a little bit loose in this part of the racetrack. Go ahead and make these changes before I get there.
Here's your points leader, Mark Martin, the 5 car. Now he has been passed by the 99, Carl Edwards. And Edwards has now moved to 11th position. That's Mears behind him in the 07. Good run in a happy hour for the 07 of Casey Mears as they go by Allmendinger. And then Martin in the 5 car now back to 13.
Yeah, you see how they really use the draft. As they see a car that's a little bit faster, they'll jump in there and kind of piggyback with him and utilize the draft. It's not Daytona and Talladega drafting, but you do get a nice pull along there. Dave?
Of course, DJ Mark Martin, as patient as always. The car started out tight in the middle. That's hard to turn loose in and off. That means the back end comes around way too easy. Now, as he continues to peek on the inside of Allmendinger there, it is coming to him. The car is improving. Mark just being patient and tried to ride it out after losing spots early on.
Carl Edwards going all the way down on the bottom of the racetrack, exactly what you were talking about, DJ. And here's the 42 car using the inside groove. You talk about different grooves, there's about 3-lane separation between him and Biffle.
That's why these drivers enjoy this racetrack. If your car's not handling one particular spot, then you can find another. We'll see guys on the apron all the way to the very top.
It's a big old wide racetrack, but sometimes it's not wide enough.
Yeah.
You see Sam Hornish right here just a few laps ago. We saw him get loose. He's chasing this car way up the racetrack off the corner here on the front straightaway.
That's one Penske car. How about the other Penske car, the 2 car? Same spot, same result. Bounce it off the wall.
It looks like you need to be the guy behind because he doesn't have any problem. It's the one of those 2 that's in front that hits the wall.
Tightening up toward the front, Jimmy Johnson now beginning to move in on Denny Hamlin. Hamlin has led all 9 laps thus far after sitting on the pole.
I don't think this is going to be a surprise to anybody down on the pit road that Jimmy Johnson is coming to the forefront right here. He dominated this race last year.
Yeah, when I was talking to Alan Gustafson in the garage this morning, Mark Martin's crew chief, he told me he felt like the fastest cars in practice were the 11 and 42. He felt like the next one was probably Jimmy Johnson in 48. That was in happy hour. Things changed, though. Weather conditions right now are quite different than they were yesterday.
Jimmy
trying to cloud cover. I'm sorry, got a good cloud cover right now that should burn off.
Anticipating a lot of sunshine today, but as of yet, it hasn't burned off. So
clear behind him if you need it.
Some of the guys who were set up for warmer weather are still struggling a little bit. Jimmy Johnson, not one of them, though, as he will go by and take the lead as they come down here on lap number 11. He dominated, leading 228 laps of 250 a year ago, and he becomes our 2nd leader here today. Want a chance to win $10,000? Put your NASCAR knowledge to the test with the ESPN Pick 12 Challenge. Go to ESPN.com/Pick12 and guess the order the 12 chase drivers will finish next week in Charlotte. We'll announce who picked this week's order in the first 30 laps of the Charlotte race, so make sure you watch. This week's winner who picked the correct order from Kansas is Gordon R. from Newport Richey, Florida. So congratulations to Gordon on the $10,000 win. 15 laps complete and high above Auto Club Speedway. These aerial coverage courtesy of our good friends at Goodyear. New Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas. Calculate your savings at GoodyearTires.com. Jimmy Johnson has become our 2nd leader today after Denny Hamlin led the first 10 laps. Now Johnson has led the last 5. Battle back it for 3rd position. Kevin Harvick there, the 29 car, going by Denny Hamlin.
No, not so fast. Here comes Hamlin on the outside.
Or trying to go by Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, it looked like he had him cleared there, but that momentum took over. See Gilliland over there getting ready to get in that 18 car as soon as we get a caution. Jamie?
David Gilliland, one job for the day is down as he makes his way to pit road. What's your biggest concern, David, as you get in a race car you haven't been in yet?
You know, it's just kind of the unknown, I guess. But the car looked good. Kyle looked good out there, and you know, their stuff runs good every week. So we'll be fine. You know, Steve has got a lot of adjustability in the car, so I guess they changed a bunch of stuff this morning on the car anyway, so really wouldn't have done much good at practice yesterday. And so we'll see where we're at.
Well, he's got a few inches on you. It'll be interesting to see how he fits in this seat. And Shannon, you have more on the 18?
Yeah, we're down here in the pit stall right now with the 18 team. There's been no word from Kyle Busch. The team did tell me that the pre-race plan was to have Kyle get out of the car in the first caution, but so far there's been no word from inside the cockpit from the driver. He's only given car conditions, and if you guys are wondering, the car's a little tight.
The drama building here. And you see the all-important hat change. There was a sponsor rep making sure they put the hat on for the sponsor for the 18 car. And DJ, how difficult is this for David Gilliland to get out of one car and get in a car? As you heard, Jamie said that he hasn't been in all weekend.
Yeah, I think that will be difficult. It'll take him a little time to adjust to the car, and just, you know, he'll have to be careful for a little while till he gets a good feel for it, and then start making adjustments to what fits his driving style. And you know, I'm sure he was in the car this morning getting fitted up and that part of it. But it will be a challenge because Kyle is a little bit taller than what David is, but they obviously know that they can make it work in this case.
We'll chronicle that change when it happens here momentarily. Now, you heard Rusty Wallace in our NASCAR Countdown show said, watch out for Juan Pablo Montoya. It's already been a good weekend for Ganassi Racing. They won the Indy Racing League Championship. Dario Franchitti yesterday in South Florida, and he's trying to get his driver now to move closer to a NASCAR title. Last week's winner, Tony Stewart, we told you that he started back in 20th today and wasn't that good in happy hour.
Well, he wasn't good in these short runs in the single lap, fastest lap, but he was good in a long run, and we saw that yesterday in happy hour, that the longer they ran, the better his car was, and now we see him starting to come to the front.
Yeah, the guy you could see right in front of him was Brian Vickers, who's moved up 16 spots. He started 32nd in this race and is already up to 16th. And we know this is exactly the kind of racetrack, a lot like Michigan, and he ran very well there. So could be another good day for him. He didn't practice all that well, obviously didn't qualify that well, but looks like he has his car to his liking right now.
Brian Vickers won the Michigan race, snapping an 87 race winless streak. Here's the 99 car all the way on the bottom of the racetrack.
Goodness gracious, he's all the way completely down on the apron.
We told you these guys would be looking for grip anywhere that they can find it today. It's just hard to come about. Usually when you're down there, it's whenever your car is pretty tight through the center of the corner. You get it down there and try to get it to turn a little bit, then you can drive it really hard. You've got more room to drive it off the corner.
And now look at him. He's completely against the wall in 1 and 2. He was on the apron in 3 and 4.
So maybe it's loose on that end. I don't know. I don't have an explanation. That only worked for one end, what I was talking about.
And you could actually see behind him the 07 car running the same line the 99 was running as Casey Mears trying to come. Here's a 24 car, the 4-time champion and 3-time California winner, Jeff Gordon, also using that bottom groove.
Yeah, I can't believe they built a big old wide racetrack like this. It's not big enough. They have to go all the way down the apron.
Well, you don't have the banking to help make your car turn. So you can get that left front, especially off on that, and it kind of de-wedges the car and will make it turn to where you can accelerate up out of the corner.
Jeff Gordon coming off a second-place finish last week. He driving the car he finished second with here back in February. Pretty good battle here for 9th spot.
Yeah, we saw that one car, Truex, really charge up through there on the start, but now he's kind of faded just a little bit. That's a good short run setup.
Yeah, Casey Mears was really good in practice yesterday. Childress has 3 of his cars in the top 10, so it looks like a very promising start to this day for them.
Right behind them is Mark Martin in 10th position. Should say 11th spot, Dave.
And you guys talked to him before the race about the line he might be running. They practiced on the low line for sure, and Mark just radioed into crew chief Gustafson, you know, I'm running that low line, and so far the guys right in front of me are not pulling away, so I'm going to stick to it, but keep me posted.
Tony Stewart trying to move up, and the 44 car struggling, maybe moving back. That is 16th and 17th position, A.J. Allmendinger and the 2-time champ. Tony going down to try to take that spot away and try to slide up in front. He will take it away. Drama building now. Kyle Busch trying to hang on. A very sick Kyle Busch has the flu, has strep throat. David Gilliland standing by in his pits. The driver change on pit road when we come back in just a moment. We are 26 laps in the Pepsi 500 here in California, and we have just gotten our 3rd leader of the day. Tell you how it happened here just moments ago. Jimmy Johnson was the leader, but this 42 car was coming in a hurry.
He'd been running the high line most of the time. You can see right here, he's going to drop down to the inside. He's going to beat Jimmy Johnson back to the start-finish line. Before they could get to turn 1, he was going to clear him.
Juan Pablo Montoya is on a mission, Dave.
And guys, can you believe Juan Pablo told me in the ride around before the race that he didn't know how to run the bottom going down into turn number 1? Actually, after that question was asked, we talked further going around the track, and he said, I know how to do it. That's one of the things that I've learned in my last year of really developing as a driver. He said, but I still like the high line, and as they take the lead, they're looking at probably lap 41 for their first pit stop. If we're still under green, it'll be a nice challenge for this 42 team to try to keep their guy out front.
Agreed, Dave. What a job Brian Patty and his team have done. They've only had Juan Pablo Montoya only has 5 career top 5 finishes as a Cup Series driver, but he's had 3 in a row here in the chase. He's the only driver to finish in the top 5 in all 3 chase races thus far.
Man, stepping it up when he needs to. Yeah, not getting away from Jimmy right here, though. Jimmy's staying with him pretty good.
You can see this team really building towards this throughout the season. It was just like it took a little bit of time for Brian Patty and Juan Pablo to kind of get on the same page. But since they've done that, man, they've been really solid.
Here's the 88 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the huge disappointment a week ago at Kansas where he started in the back of the pack, came all the way up, started on the front row, came all the way up and led 41 laps prior to having a lug nut issue and then finally an engine failure. But he was pretty good in the final laps of happy hour yesterday.
It looks like he has a pretty good car today. He's making passes. Most of the passes he's tried to make to the outside, but he's also able to run the bottom of the racetrack.
kept hearing, you heard Mark Martin say that he felt like the track would stay fairly consistent because it's a daytime race. We're starting now, though, we started this race with a little cloud cover, but we're starting to see the sun pop out just a little bit over beyond the backstretch, so we expect it to come out and maybe heat this racetrack up and change it a little bit.
We talked about starting on the front row last week for Dale Jr. The 00 of David Rudeman thought he was going to start on the front row here today. Qualified second, but in post-qualifying inspection, they had an issue with the shock absorber having too much pressure, and he had to start back in 42nd position. Shannon.
Pretty disappointing start for the 00. Spoke with Rodney Childers this morning. He said he felt the car was very good. It was only obviously the track position they were going to have to battle. Right now they're also battling some loose conditions. But guys, they are going for something on the track, and that is that 13th spot in the points. They are battling the 17 and the 18. And with Kyle Busch feeling ill today, they know that it's an opportunity for them to try to make up some points and get to that 13th spot.
That is a good point, Shannon. They're 15th in the points right now, and he was the only non-chase driver, by the way, to finish in the top 10 last week at Kansas. So this team really starting to get it done here in the final 10 races. Here's David Gilliland standing in the Kyle Busch pits, listening to the radio, getting ready to put his helmet on and possibly climb in this car. Let's go down and show you what's going to happen when we go down to our Craftsman Tech garage and Tim Brewer.
Jerry, the first thing's going to happen when Kyle comes down pit road, he's going to drop the window net, get it out of the way. He's going to start unloosening the belts, laying them over out of the way, making sure that when David gets in the car, he knows where they're placed. But the trick is, folks, getting the steering wheel off. It's on a quick disconnect hub right here, and he's literally going to take the wheel off, put it up here, turn the ignition switch off, and he's going to bail out. When David gets back in, he just reaches for the belts, puts the belts back on, puts the steering wheel back in place, making sure that it's affixed properly, and you're going to see the NASCAR inspectors looking inside to make sure that the belts are reattached, radio wires hooked up, steering wheel's on, then he'll continue off pit road.
That's a good point, Tim. They will have a NASCAR inspector looking in both the left and right side windows to make sure everything has been reattached properly for safety. Now, when the day began, this 18 car had to go to the rear of the field for an engine change, but Andy, he didn't stay there very long.
Well, he's gained 20 spots, and he's not feeling well, so it means he's got a pretty good car. It's a big racetrack, too, and if we get a caution flag, it should be no issue at all to be able to change drivers in this car and not lose a lap. They'd have to go to the rear, obviously, but they still would not lose a lap because the racetrack is so big. So I expect when we see that first caution, you'll see Kyle get out.
Right now it is Juan Pablo Montoya at the front of the field here after 33 of 250 laps. Back after this message and a word from Irene.
Race number 4 in the chase for the Sprint Cup, the Pepsi 500 in California, is under green as we approach green flag pit stops. Juan Pablo Montoya in the target car. The 42 is the race leader, third different driver out front. All three of them chasers. Pole sitter Denny Hamlin led the first 10 laps, then Jimmy Johnson from 11 through 24, and Montoya out in front now. Green flag pit stops have begun. Shannon?
Well, Jeff Burton in that 31 says he cannot turn the car chassis adjustments for the 31 car, 4 tires and fuel. Greg Biffle, who had a great start to this race, is also on pit road right now. He says it's tight center and then the car snaps loose. They are going to make a track bar adjustment and air pressure, try to get that 16 better on some long runs and try to get them to the front of the race so they can get a victory here today. Dave.
Matt Kenseth has been sliding the nose, but he said, you know what, this car is a little bit more loose than tight. They've made an air pressure and chassis adjustment for Matt. He leaves pit road. Vince?
The 9 car of Casey Kane. Kane says it needs to be tighter. He doesn't have any side bite. They're going to make a track bar adjustment. Also add some tape to the front of the grill because the temperature hasn't gotten up yet. 4 tires for the 9 as well. Casey Kane. Dave?
Jimmy Johnson's getting a big track bar adjustment and air pressure. He said the car was tight about halfway through the run. Then he said a lot tighter as the run went on. Mark Martin is also on pit road. Had been running in the 11th position. 4 fresh tires full of Sunoco fuel. He's already gotten a wedge adjustment, has Mark Martin, and he said mostly the car is getting tight in the middle and loose in and off of the corner. Mark Martin now exits pit road, just going by Sam Hornish.
Jeff Gordon coming out. You see him coming down pit road, and you're hearing all these guys complaining of tight in the middle and loose off in the corners. Typical here at California. Let's go down to Dave quickly.
Leader Montoya on pit road. They are finishing up on the left side. They talked about the race car that was getting getting pretty tight at the end, and they worried about a track bar adjustment. They got the track bar adjustment done, and 4 fresh tires. Jamie?
And Tony Stewart, they go to work on the left side there. Tony Stewart saying the car is free on the high and through the center, starting to get a little bit better though, Vince.
The 11 of Denny Hamlin started on the pole but faded back. The car a little too loose in and out. They made a track bar adjustment on that 11 car. The 39 of Ryan Newman, a right front air pressure adjustment. The car getting a little bit better as the run goes along. As you see, making the 4 tire change as well for Ryan Newman. Remember, they started 36th today. Needed to make their way toward the front. Have to make something happen. Shannon?
Kurt Busch in the number 2 car pulling his car down pit road right now. The car has been good all race. That is the exact word that Kurt Busch used to explain it. They're going to get 4 tires and fuel. This is a brand new race car for Kurt Busch here this weekend. This team knows that they are still in this championship hunt, looking for a great run this weekend as they go to work on that 2 car, guys.
Kurt Busch started 39th a week ago and drove his car all the way toward the top 10. Another new car as he is on and off pit road. We'll also note the 18 car of Kyle Busch, because of a green flag stop, opted not to make the driver change.
Well, it wouldn't make any sense to do that under green because you'd lose too much time. See, Jimmy Johnson inherited the lead after all these pit stops because he made his pit stop just a little bit sooner, and with the speed fall off of these tires as they run, just having that extra lap on new tires has put him out in front of that 42.
Yeah, could have possibly got on and off pit road a little bit better too, so that whole combination put him back in front of Montoya.
Left side of your screen, battle for 7th and 8th. Carl Edwards able to go by Clint Bowyer and take the 7th spot away. You heard Dave Burns talking about that pit stop a moment ago. People are complaining the cars are tight because the temperature is not coming up. We're not talking about track temperature. We're talking about, I guess, the ambient temperature. Everyone thought it would be a little bit warmer and slicker here today.
Yeah, and you're going to have to be careful because I think the temperature will go up, but these guys were afraid to put the tape on there. Some guys adding some tape, which should also help the downforce in that condition that they're talking about, tied in the center of the corner and loose on the exit. Dave?
DJ, can I bring up one other thing on ambient temperature? How about driver comfort? I asked Juan Pablo Montoya this morning if he remembers when it was 114 degrees here. He said, oh yeah. He said, going down the straightaway, I'd have to lift my right foot off the accelerator and trade it for my left foot while I took the burning right foot off for just a moment so it wouldn't burn all day long. The drivers like this a lot better, even if it hurts their handling.
Yeah, I promise you. Yeah, we've all been in that situation where it burned you. You tried to get your shoes right and the floorboards right now, but it will happen, and that was just extremely hot day. And you obviously don't have that today, as we see Montoya trying to take the lead back away from Jimmy Johnson right here, and he's going to do that. But these guys are enjoying this temperature a lot more than what they did that year.
It is perfect weather out here, and I can see just beyond the racetrack, the sun is shining on some of the landscape behind the racetrack, so it'll be on this racetrack before long.
Back on Labor Day, when this race normally would have run this year, it was 105 degrees here in Fontana, California.
Barely there, you're good.
And now the heat's really on the racetrack with the competition as Jimmy Johnson comes driving back underneath Montoya.
Yeah, you'd think we were in the last 50 laps of this race instead of the first 50. These guys going at it hard as they can, but that's the way this championship battle is going to be for these guys too.
Okay, when you sit here like this, Dale, and you feel like you got one car to beat, like, man, look at Jimmy Johnson. But do you think that maybe they're thinking about leading the most laps even this early in the race?
There's no doubt that both of these guys, they want to do that. And I'm sure that Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus are looking at that scenario. They know that pays extra points that could be very valuable before this is all over.
Right now it's Jimmy Johnson who has led 16 and Montoya has led 17. And look at the point standings there. You see Montoya now had moved up a spot to 13 back of Jimmy Johnson. Our leader, Mark Martin, back who was the points leader, now back 19 behind in third position.
I tell you what, they had their hands full with this 42 car all day long. They've been strong. We've seen them each week getting a little bit better, ready to win on an oval track.
Well, that's the thing, and they're due. They just flat are due. This is a car they ran at Indianapolis and led virtually the entire race until they got penalized for speeding on pit road. They got it back here, and it looks like it's performing just like it did at Indy.
Juan Pablo has had a lot of firsts in his career. Juan Pablo Montoya won the Indianapolis 500 as a rookie. He went over to Formula One and won 7 times, including the crown jewel there, the Grand Prix of Monaco, and is trying to inch closer to a NASCAR title here in 2009. Here are the current standings for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the year. Points are accumulated by the team who wins the race by fan votes and by an ESPN pick. See Dale Earnhardt Jr. is number 1. Jeff Gordon close behind Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson. You can make your pick for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year by texting the car number for the pit crew you think is the fastest and most valuable in each race to 2258. Standard messaging rates do apply.
Yeah, you see Denny Hamlin right here in front of Jeff Gordon, and he was really one of the faster cars in all the practices that we've had. But most of the practices had sun on the racetrack, and we haven't seen that yet today. I expect to see it soon, and possibly Denny Hamlin will start back towards the front.
They said he was battling a loose race car now, though, so that could make it even more so for him. You can see Gordon still not able to make the run, even though he's challenged here for the last 3 or 4 laps. Hasn't gotten by Denny Hamlin.
Already a number of cars in the garage area, and the latest one was this one, the 7 car. What's that sticking out of the side, guys?
That's exhaust pipes. That's a people problem right there. Somebody left something off the checklist or didn't check it. There's bolts and actually even some hangers that are safety hangers to hold that exhaust on the car so it doesn't come off. Because obviously the hangers are doing their job, but the bolts come loose.
I had a car when I was a teenager that I had the exhaust sticking out like that, but that was okay back then.
Looks kind of cool.
Juan Pablo Montoya, if you just joined our coverage, we've had 5 lead changes among 4 different drivers, and Montoya now has led twice for 24 laps.
Getting ready to put a lap on Scott Speed and Paul Menard right here. Look at him thread the needle.
Montoya 5 trips to this racetrack, and his best finish was 11th back in February. Not had a top 10 finish. Here's the 5 and the 99 battling on the racetrack as Mark Martin goes by for the 6th position.
This is kind of just vintage Mark Martin. His car wasn't exactly what he was looking for at the beginning of the race. Comes in, makes an adjustment. Now he's on the march forward up to the 6th spot.
Back in the spring in February, Mark Martin moved himself into the top 10 and began moving up slowly in the field and lost an engine here. His first DNF of the year. He ended up finishing 40th at this track in February.
That's one of the things about this big old racetrack. It'll eat up an engine in a heartbeat. You just get up there and hang on those RPMs so long on the straightaway. It's not like you just run them up and come back down, run them up and down like you do on some of the other tracks. You really stay at these high speeds for a long time. Broad sweeping corners.
Mark Martin's been a part of this series for 27 years, and when you ask Martin, he thinks, so, you know, this NASCAR racing is a lot like high school.
For the most part, you know, it's kind of like being in high school. You know, you got the people you like, you got the people you tolerate, and you got the people that you don't like, and you know, you all have to get along every day, you know, and that's not that much different here.
Pretty well sums it up.
Yeah, it does, and he said something there that a lot of people, I think, don't understand, that our sport's a little bit different. You take the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NBA, whatever it is, and even though teams play each other throughout the year, they don't do it every single week. Every weekend, these guys race against the same people. If you have a problem with them, that's why you need to work things out. And as Mark said, you know, there's guys you really get along with, others that you just put up with, and then there's others that just simply it's not going to work, so you try to stay away from them as much as possible.
And on the other hand, I don't believe there's a single driver in the garage here that doesn't respect and admire what Mark Martin has done in his career here in this sport.
You're exactly right about that, and you know, he's accomplished a lot, and he's just a you know, first-class guy.
Yeah, look at how Mark Martin is, his steering wheel position and how he moves his hand on the straightaway. It's kind of a unique Mark Martin style, and it really works great for him. But you see the difference. Montoya, I was watching his in-car just a little bit earlier, and he seems to have his wheel a lot further out, almost like an IndyCar style where they've got their steering wheel away from him a little bit.
Yeah, Mark even wears a pad on his right elbow, you can see, because he gets it over against the steering wheel and actually turns.
Yeah, look at the difference right here. You can see the steering wheel quite a ways away from Montoya.
And I think that probably comes from Montoya's open wheel background, to where they have to be a little further away with that to be able to do everything that they do there. And so he just adapted it to this style of racing. Working pretty good here.
In Formula One, turning left and right so quickly on those road courses around Europe, you got to have room for those elbows to move here.
You got to let them fly. Both styles obviously work well.
Moving in on 60 laps here of 250. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing. Race number 4 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. And it is Juan Pablo Montoya, our leader. Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, Jeff Gordon, and Denny Hamlin. We'll take you up under caution for the first time of the day here in the Pepsi 500. Jamie McMurray's car, right rear tire. You see the contact he had there. And he would have been the car that would have gotten the free pass, and there will be no free pass. And under this caution, we will have a driver change as Kyle Busch will come down, and David Gilliland standing here getting that helmet ready and getting a sip of water will climb in the 18 car. Juan Pablo Montoya, our leader. Jimmy Johnson second, Kevin Harvick, Jeff Gordon, and Denny Hamlin the top 5.
This gives some of these drivers and teams an opportunity to make some changes under this caution to try to get their cars improved to see if they can do anything with Juan Pablo Montoya and Jimmy Johnson and Kevin Harvick, who seem to have really, really good race cars. Jeff Gordon has moved into that 4th spot, finally got around Denny Hamlin.
Kyle Busch, by the way, had gained 20 positions. Dale Earnhardt Jr. had gained 18 spots since the drop of the green flag 60 laps ago. They pitted on lap 40, and now here on lap 60, they will come down again. Let's go down to Jamie.
Well, even though the sun has come out, the 24 car has remained the same. Tight through the middle, loose off 4 tires. Another track bar adjustment for Jeff Gordon. Dave?
Your Juan Pablo Montoya, center of your screen. No adjustments to his car. He likes the way, just a little tight at the end. He likes the way it's running. There will be adjustment for Jimmy Johnson, bottom of the screen. Came up 3rd place for that. And that was for a car that's a little bit snug in the center of the corner. Vince?
The 29 car of Kevin Harvick is coming in, and you see Denny Hamlin pulled in just in front of him. Harvick says the car's just a little bit tight. They're going to take 4 tires, also a little tape on the grill. For Denny Hamlin, it's a 4-tire change as well. He's been battling more of a loose condition, but they've been running up in the top 5, and they're off.
Race off of pit road 2 wide, and they move in on the inside. Montoya will hold the lead. Kevin Harvick up a spot.
Wow, look at Jimmy Johnson loses 6 spots on that stop.
Very atypical for that 48 team.
First 2-tire guy, Newman.
Yeah, Newman up 17 spots with that 2 tires.
That's how close it was. Harvick and Montoya. See Hamlin and Gordon coming by. And then a host of others behind him. Let's watch the lug nut issue here on the 48 that cost them 6 positions.
See right here, drop a nut on the right front. Had to wait for that. That one little hiccup cost him 6 spots in the pits. Shows you just how competitive it is down there.
There's the 18 car of Kyle Busch coming down, and David Gilliland. If you just joined our coverage, Kyle's had the flu, had the strep throat early in the week, had to get out of the Nationwide car yesterday and put Denny Hamlin in. And now David Gilliland, who started another car, it's already parked in the garage area.
4,700. 12 will be 10 away for you. They're stacking up here. 10 away. Yeah, 47. All right, 10.
They will count Kyle
3,
down.
2, 1. Brake, put on the brake.
See, first priority is getting the driver change done.
Take the right side window out so they can help unhook and rehook the driver.
Kyle was running 23rd when that caution came out.
As Tim Brewer told you, they'll have a NASCAR official on both sides of the car once the driver is in to make sure all the belts are secure and tight.
Not only that, they want to make sure the Hans device is hooked up, the steering wheel is latched on and hooked up. They check all this even before the race. They check every car before the race starts, and so when they make a driver change, they want to make sure that that's handled.
Yeah, and they'll make him talk over the radio to make sure that he has radio communication, especially that he can hear the crew chief and the spotter.
The spotter watching the pace car, letting them know the pace car in the middle of the back straightaway now going in toward turn 3.
Everything goes smoothly here. They should have plenty of time to get everything hooked up that they need to.
Actually, they need to go ahead and change tires right now, too, because they're getting a 1-to-go signal from NASCAR. You saw that official holding the finger up, meaning that they're going to get a 1-to-go when they come to the line here.
Kyle trying to struggle to get up those stairs and watch a little bit of this race as the pace car is now in turn 4.
Got new tires.
Got
tires
it.
and fuel, tires, guys.
A little
Change
miscommunication there. They should have been out there quicker doing this. They may end up
turn four.
okay on this. The pace car just past the entrance of pit
I think we're
road.
good. Come around. Well, no, go.
This 18 car is over halfway down pit road. You can see the pace car coming in the background. They're going to make it.
They got to be at 55 miles an hour. There he goes. And can he get down and not lose a lap? It's going to be very close as the pace car comes down. And
looks like he's barely going to beat the pace car here, and he'll be able to go back around and
47.
fill in the back of the field.
Way to cut it close there, boys. Thank you very much.
Boy, that's how close it was.
Nice job. That's a lot to get done.
Well, one thing, they were counting on another lap of caution where they could just get this driver change done, come back around, change tires. But when that 1 to go signal came up, they knew they had to get all the work done this lap.
There's rocket science there, Steve.
The driver change has been made. Now let's show you again what happened with the 48 car and exactly in terms of time, how much it cost Jimmy Johnson's guys on pit road with that lug nut issue.
You see our clock will start as soon as the car stops and the right side goes up. See right here, they're changing the tires and they have a little issue there with that lug nut. That time on the right side should be under 7 seconds, and you can see it's 8 seconds. Jack time about 4 seconds. That's about right. Maybe just a little bit off. Left side 3.3. That's a good stop on the left, but they lost too much time over on the right. Let's compare that stop to Kurt Busch. He had the fastest 4-tire stop at 12.6. You see 5.7 on the right. That's excellent. Right side. 3.6 on the Jack, and you see the 3.3, the same as Jimmy Johnson on the left.
So we are finishing up caution number 1 on the day, the incident involving Jamie McMurray. And there is Chad Knaus reflective on the fact that something that you normally don't see with his bunch is a mistake on pit road and a miscue that cost him 6 positions. The good news for Jimmy Johnson, still a lot of racing to go here at a track where he has been very, very good. Montoya leads him down. It'll be him, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, Jeff Gordon, and Greg Biffle in the top 5 as we go back to green.
Wow, looks like Kevin Harvick got a big jump through 1 and 2.
Sure did. Mark Martin coming through the middle right there, picking up a couple of spots.
I just have to question that outside on the restarts. We saw all day yesterday in the nationwide race, most of the guys were choosing the outside lane and getting beat by the guy on the inside.
Kevin Harvick from nearby Bakersfield, California, has never won a Cup race at the home racetrack, or he hasn't led a lap yet today, and he will not lead this time by.
Well, it was close. He may, maybe not. Computer says the 11 car led that lap.
By about 2 feet.
Maybe less.
Harvick takes it back again down on the bottom of the racetrack, but the official scoring is at the start-finish line, and here comes Denny Hamlin back on the outside.
Yeah, you can see Harvick there coming off of turn 2. Really had to walk his car up the racetrack. It looked like it was bouncing him pretty loose.
Mark Martin moving in on the 29 car, back in 3rd position.
Well, that sun is out now. You can see it on the racetrack. And Denny Hamlin is now at the front. That's where his car was the best yesterday in happy hours when the sun was out.
You saw Jimmy Johnson at the top of your screen now, determined to get those 6 positions back in a hurry. Now Mark Martin moves to the outside to try to take the 2nd spot away.
Yeah, we don't see Mark make a pass on the outside too much. He likes, as he said earlier, he's pretty committed to that inside, but he's got a fast race car. He's able to make that out, give him some confidence. Here comes Montoya on the inside of Harvick.
Montoya makes the move. Jeff Gordon all the way under the white line here on the bottom of the track.
He gets by Harvick.
Unlike Daytona and Talladega, folks, where you can't move down below the double yellow line or the white line, at these racetracks you can use it. If it's paved, you're able to use it.
I think you can use it even if it's not paved. I wouldn't advise it, but there's no penalty. Here goes Mark on the outside. Man, he's getting it done now.
Mark Martin, when interviewed in our countdown show, looked very, very confident, talking about the guys had him a good race car here, and he's showing it here in the early laps.
They made some changes late in the session yesterday. Took the time to make some changes with the trailing arm thing. And I think there was something that, as they adjusted on this car, they've made it better and better for Mark. He seemed pretty excited about as you said, Doc, very optimistic that those changes were going to allow him to have a chance to win this race.
Well, that's what I was asking the Gustafson about. They were the fastest in happy hour, and they were still making changes down there, major changes, looking for something better.
Let's go down and hear from Kyle Busch. Dave.
He has climbed down from the pit box now. Kyle, are you sticking around, or are you going to head back and take a blow?
I'm going to go lay down for a little bit and see if I can't get some fluids or something in me at the infield care center. But car was decent, so real proud of the effort on these guys. I appreciate them sticking behind me. I'm sorry I had to get out.
What information did you pass along that you hope David Gilliland can use?
Well, the car wasn't bad. It was a little bit tight for me the first time. We loosened it up and we got it a little bit more to how I like it. It started getting a little bit loose in, so hopefully it's not too loose for him.
All right, heal up. We hope you feel better. By the way, guys, real quick, Mike Brown, David Gilliland's normal spotter, has replaced the spotter on the spotting stand for its driver. So that communication taking place now between Gilliland and his spotter, Mike Brown.
And give a call to Kyle Busch, too, Dave. I mean, as sick as he was, folks, he passed 20 cars before they made the driver change and got them in good position.
Yeah, you got to give Kyle a lot of credit. Yesterday in the nationwide race, he led the race, really the whole race until he did get out.
Mark Martin in the 5 car. The points leader is our race leader, Denny Hamlin and Juan Montoya in 2nd and 3rd. Back after this message and a word from our 8.
New leader here in California, Juan Pablo Montoya back out in front. Talk about that in just a second. First, the motorsports calendar. NHRA from Virginia. The finals tonight, 7 Eastern on ESPN 2. NASCAR now wraps up today's race tonight at 10 Eastern on ESPN 2. Then next weekend, it's on to Charlotte, the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Friday night, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN 2. And the 5th race in the chase, the NASCAR Banking 500 only from Bank of America. 7 Eastern next Saturday night on ABC. So the 10th lead change of this race happening just a second ago. Juan Pablo Montoya kicked back a little bit after the restart, Rusty and Brad, but he ran back up there.
Yeah, but I tell you, when those pressures on the tires came up, take a look at this. He works the top side of this racetrack, got this car really handling good, then a lot of momentum off the corner, right past Mark Martin on the outside, and Montoya's been glued to the top of the racetrack. That car's been handling perfect.
And Brad, something else we're starting to see now as the sun is coming out, the cloud cover's burning away. We're starting to see this racing get a little crazier here.
Yeah, we are starting to see guys spread out and try to search for grip. And as that sun comes up, heats that racetrack up, there's going to be more spots to stick these race cars. But as you watch Montoya here, I've watched a couple of his laps over the past 10 laps. And some of his lap times he's clicked off has been really, really quick. He's got a super race car. Mark Martin, once again, right there in the mix. Jimmy Johnson's coming behind these guys. We're setting up for some good racing as we go throughout the day.
And gotta love, one's up the top, one's down the bottom. Drivers love it when a racetrack has options. All right, let's check in on some of these front runners now and how their races are going so far. Juan Pablo Montoya, Dave Burns has the update. Dave, take us up to speed.
Yeah, he may be the leader. He might not be at the start-finish line. Mark Martin's going to settle in back behind. You know, you guys were talking about Montoya and the high line he was running, but he passed on the low line earlier. I asked his crew chief, Brian Patty, this morning, what's the biggest thing that Juan Pablo has done to improve his game? And Brian said, running everywhere, adaptability. Champions adapt, and Juan Pablo has learned how to do that in the last 12 months. Now, as Mark Martin puts pressure on him, they made an adjustment to that race car. They made a wedge adjustment for a car that was just a little bit too free on the last stop. So they have been improving that car, and obviously, Mark, after running outside the top 10, is right back in it. As for the 48 car, after that bad pit stop, he's worked his way back up to 3rd place. Of course, Chad on the radio afterwards telling his team, we cannot have that, emphasizing the word not. They may not have it again for the rest of the day as they hope to improve and keep Jimmy in the hunt. Vince?
Denny Hamlin was your pole sitter, led early in this race, so they picked up 5 bonus points, which is important to this team. Crew Chief Tony Gibson said they were really going to keep an eye on the skies because this track changes a lot from cloud to sun, and we've got sun for the first time today. Gibson said he'd like his car to err on the side of tight, but right now, Hamlin is loose. Jamie?
And behind him is Jeff Gordon. Steve Latarda's crew chief told me this morning they had an upbeat step this weekend because they were able to beat their teammates of the 48 and 5 last weekend. He says it's disheartening to get beat by them every week. Right now, though, his car is just tight in the middle, and if he wants to beat them again, they need to get a little bit better, guys.
Kevin Harvick has been running up near the top 5 most of the day, and that's been quite a jump for this team. They've started to come on a little bit of late. The car has been good all weekend long, and Harvick says other than not having a lot of rear grip, he feels pretty comfortable in the car today. Said it took the tires a little bit longer to come up than he was hoping for, but it's been a good run for the 29 in the early going. Alan?
All right, Vince, thanks. And somebody else catching our attention in the pit studio, Dale Earnhardt Jr. He just cracked the top 10.
Oh, yeah, he's won from 37th starting position all the way up to the top 10. You know, we've been watching for a long time. When's he going to turn a corner, Brad?
Yeah.
When's his team going to start running better? He's got it on the move today.
He has been very fast all day long as we see Kevin Harvick here still on the move as he slides in front of Jeff Gordon. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has a good-looking race car. Hopefully he can get it to the end of the day and get a good, strong finish for he and crew chief Lance McGrew.
On NASCAR Countdown, we talked about mistakes. Saw that with Jimmy Johnson. Talked about Kevin Harvick, how winning would cure a lot of things. Talked about momentum. Juan Pablo Montoya, the only...
Welcome back to the Auto Club Speedway. Pit stops happening right now. Your top 3 on pit road. The 42 of Juan Pablo Montoya, top of your screen. Losing forward fight was his complaint. They'll make a track bar and a left rear wedge adjustment. Let's try it. It's early in the race, he said. Middle of your screen, Mark Martin. He doesn't want any changes. The car is good in 1 and 2, perfect in 3 and 4. And as for Jimmy Johnson, as he comes down pit road, a little loose in the back over something. He was running through the lines of the track, so he wanted a little bit of adjustment on that. Vince?
The 11 car of Denny Hamlin is in. He says he found a little something in turns 1 and 2, but he's going to need to be tightened up a bit to make it work. He's too free on the throttle. They're making an air pressure adjustment in both rear tires and down 1 round on the track bar. 4 tires for the 11 of Denny Hamlin. As the 1 of Martin Truex was the first one out.
With 2 tires, guys, and they rolled the dice a little bit to get him up 11 position. So Truex the first off pit road.
Yeah, you see Jimmy Johnson lost 4 spots again on pit road. Definitely a sore spot for the 48 team so far today.
But if we put a camera down there, Chad Canals is not up on that pit box right now. I bet he's down.
He's probably he's probably down there discussing this stop.
Here's the reason for the caution flag. Right front tire went down on Ryan Newman's car. He was the driver that had taken 2 right side tires on the previous caution flag. And he brought the caution out, so had to come on pit road now twice. There's a race off. Montoya. You see the 5 car, the Truex car, the 1 car had already gone. Look how close this is, guys.
Yeah, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 6 off the pit road. Man, 4 or 5 wide there.
And again, Martin Truex, the 1 car, 2 tires. The call for Kevin Mannion, and gets Truex out of the pits first ahead of everybody. Back in a moment. Aerial coverage high above Auto Club Speedway, brought to you by our good friends at Goodyear. New Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas. Calculate your savings at GoodyearTires.com. We are working caution for the 2nd time a day, and here are the top 5 stops.
Yeah, you can see the 2-tire stop, 6.6 for Martin Truex. But look at that, 12.7 for both Penske cars, Sam Hornish and Kurt Busch. And you see David Gilliland with that 18 with a 13 flat. You don't see the 48 on there. I want to see just how competitive it is down there, though. Look at this. I mean, Jimmy Johnson lost 4 spots on that last round, but it's so close. I mean, 13.4 is just, you would think of a pretty good stop, but it's just so tight down there that if you give up a half a second, I mean, it's going to cost you spots. See, right there's the breakdown. It's a little bit everywhere.
Andy, if you're Chad Canals and you've been so good and been so flawless on pit road, now you've had 2 consecutive stops of problems. What do you do?
Well, it's not a problem. I mean, 13.4 is still a decent stop. I mean, they just got beat. That's just how competitive it is. Dave?
Well, and as crew chief talked to driver, here's what they had to say about it.
Okay, remember to accelerate really hard all the way to your mark, bud.
Can't do it any harder than what I just did. I'm spinning the tires all the way out to my mark, so I don't know what else I can do there.
That's far.
So they know what the problem is, although he has been trying to correct it already. Jimmy will try to get a little more grip. DJ, how do you do that on these cement pit? This one is cement, right, on the part where they accelerate? I'm going out to look. Yeah, it's the cement. So how tough is it to get grip when you're leaving?
Yeah, it's really fine balance, and you have to be careful and try to get Jimmy to get out of there harder, because that'll make the driver try to accelerate a little bit sooner just as that jack drops, and then they find themselves breaking an axle. So as much as you want to try to improve that, you really have to be careful.
Well, let's break it down just a little bit more. I mean, we can look at the total time spent on pit road and break it down into the pit stop. The drive time we call driver. You can see right there, Jimmy Johnson's doing a good job. I mean, 28.8 is a good drive time down pit road. That's down to the pit stall and back to the line at the end. Just that 0.07 of a second right there.
Yeah, without going back and looking at everything going out of the pits, Jimmy could have got trapped behind someone that cost him a few spots there where he had to get out of the throttle a little bit. So we'd probably have to examine this a little closer and go back and look at that.
It's still going to be tenths of a second.
That's
going to make the difference.
Yeah, and he lost 4 spots regardless.
Show you again as the clocks tick away during this stop.
Yeah, you can see it's a very, very routine stop. Stop here, you can see the time on the right side. Drop it under, yes, a 6.2 right side, not bad at all. 3.9, not bad on the jack.
Now here's what they're talking about. You can see he's really spinning the tires. He can't get up, but you have to be careful and spin that. You're not exactly sure your tack at that point in time, so you don't want to accelerate too much and get caught speeding.
And with all that, he starts way back in 7th.
Yeah.
And folks, remember that Superman wears Jimmy Johnson pajamas. That guy's been very good here the last 3 years, so not to worry for you 48 fans. Let's watch up front. Montoya and Truex. Truex, the 2-tire change. He's our leader.
I'll tell you, the car to watch on this restart's Denny Hamlin. He's been fast off of turn 2, the start of the race, and then this past restart. See what he can do. But I think that Truex taking that outside played right into Montoya's hand here.
Montoya slides up, a little bit of a wobble from the 1 car behind him. Side by side for 3rd, the 5 car trying to come, and Harvick right behind Martin.
We'll have to watch Martin Truex with that 2 tires here. I'm not a big fan, especially now that the sun's come out. This is a racetrack that you just don't have a lot of grip on.
31 cars on the lead lap, and now Jimmy Johnson makes it 3 wide. Oh, Jeff Gordon backing out. Exactly what you were talking about, DJ. You don't want to get caught between a car up high in the wall.
See Hamlin now working underneath this 1 car Truex. So far, Truex is, the 2 tires seem to have a lot of grip in these first couple of laps.
They sure do.
Denny Hamlin, bottom of the track. Martin was in the middle, and now he will steer his Chevy down to the white line.
Now you can see Truex losing 2 spots through that corner, and now see it actually getting a little bit loose.
Jeff Gordon there is trying to move underneath Kevin Harvick, and now right along with Carl Edwards is also trying to take that spot away. That would be 8th position.
Now we've seen Carl making some ground at the coming forward. He's been using the top of the racetrack and the very, very bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, and he's usually really good here. They've struggled, so this is a sign that they may be onto something running up into the top 10.
You saw a moment ago, 2nd week in a row, that 2 car. Kurt Busch has started at the back of the field and driven his way into the top 10. There's that 2 car now being shown in 10th position. Shannon.
This is a team that is very focused. Speaking to the Pat Tryson this morning, they have their eyes on the goal, and that's the championship. The car has been very good all day. Slight air pressure adjustments on pit road, just a little bit loose off for the 2 car.
And thank you, Shannon. He got passed a moment ago by Dale Earnhardt Jr., who had come all the way from 35th position, and now he tries to battle back under Jr. to get back in the top 10. While you watch this battle, we'll remind you that Ryan Newman, one of our chase contenders who brought that last caution flag out because of the tire, he did stay on the lead lap. Kevin Harvick sliding it back up in front of the 99. They've been going back and forth at it for 8th position. 90 laps of 250 are in the books here at Auto Club Speedway. Back after this message, and Juan Pablo Montoya has now led 52 laps here in the Pepsi 500 at California. Want a chance to win a VIP trip to Miami Homestead Speedway to meet Ryan Newman and Jeff Gordon? Well, go to ESPN.com, search keyword Transformers to enter now. Montoya, our leader. Jimmy Johnson is now driven from 7th on the restart all the way up in the 2nd position, having gone by Mark Martin and Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, he might have had some traction problem getting out of the pits, but he's had none on the racetrack since they threw the green flag again.
Jimmy led 4 times for 18 laps earlier today. We've had 13 lead changes among 6 different drivers. We're not even to halfway yet. So it's Montoya, Johnson, Denny Hamlin, Mark Martin, and Jeff Gordon in the top 5. Kevin Harvick is 6th. Biffle, Kurt Busch, Earnhardt Jr., and now Carl Edwards being shown in 10th position. Let's go down to Vince.
Carl Edwards now down into the 10th spot. He had been up as high as 9th. As you mentioned, Doc, having a little bit better run. His position in the chase, his finishing positions in each race in the chase have improved each time, and they feel like they've got a really good car here today, but he just avoided disaster.
Hey, look at my left side. I got into the 2 a little bit. Yeah, he got into you, but okay.
Take a look at the replay of that incident in which the 2 and the 99 got together. And boy, anytime you're getting together at these high speeds, and you dodge a bullet if nothing dangerous happens or no damage to the race car. But the spotter and Carl both say no real effect to the race car after that contact. Jamie?
Behind him, Tony Stewart. He's been kind of working his way toward the front slowly but surely. Qualified 20th. This is only one of 3 racetracks Tony Stewart has never won at. Car is pretty good, just a little bit tight right now. Shannon?
Jeff Burton started this race 18th. He's currently moved up to 12th. They did expect this team to be good here today. They took their Fontana setup from February, in which they finished 32nd, and they completely updated it. The team was great in practice. They were very optimistic coming in. Right now, they're just fighting some rear grip. Vince?
Martin Truex having a good run today. Had a good qualifying effort. Started 5th, and they've been good off the truck just about the entire weekend. Just tweaking a little bit here and there. He says right now it's a little too loose. He hasn't been able to run the top quite like he would like. So they made some adjustments on the track bar and the wedge to get him a little bit more comfortable on the top part of the track. Now the 07 of Casey Mears having one of his better runs of the season today as well. But he's fighting the front end. Says he just doesn't feel like he's got the grip he needs in the front, and it's a little bit loose in the rear. Takes time for the front end to come in. Now Casey Kane in the 9 car, of course he had that blown engine the first race of the chase, and that's put him in the hole from the get-go. But ever since, they've been running pretty well. They've had good race cars each stop, and they're confident that they've got another car that they can work with here today. He's in the top 15 in the early going. Jamie?
And Brian Vickers right now says the car is better than the last run. Now they had a problem in the first practice this weekend with the fuel pressure, and they're a little concerned because they don't know what led to that. The car has been fine, and there's no signs of those issues. Remember, first race of the chase was the same issue. They ended up finishing 11th. Guys?
Thank you, Jamie. 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th on your screen. You see Vickers in the back of that group there trying to work on the 1 car of Martin Truex, who did take the 2 tires and is still hanging right there in the top 15.
It's not working that great, though. I mean, he started out there in the lead, and just since lap 83 or 4, when we had a restart, he's lost all those spots.
Yeah, I think you need 6 or 8 if you can get them on there instead of just 2. But just to have a slick racetrack, not a lot of banking, and now the sun is out heating everything up.
Juan Pablo Montoya, the last time we saw this car, or the first time we saw this car at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where he dominated. He's our leader here in California.
ESPN. Now Sprint brings you an inside look at the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup on the Now Network. Current top 3 in points. Well, it's close. Mark Martin leading Jimmy Johnson by 3 points as they run, with Juan Pablo Montoya in 3rd, just another 16 points back. And the biggest mover in today's race, Dale Earnhardt Jr., currently running in 9th, and he started 26 positions farther back than that. For more NASCAR stats, in-car audio, and live race radio, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile at sprint.com/speed. From the pit studio, Alan Rusty and Brad Watchendale Jr. continue to chip his way towards the front.
I tell you what, Dale Jr. is looking fantastic today, guys. He's picked up 26 positions on the racetrack. And, you know, this team's took a lot of heat for not being able to close the deal. Blowing motors, problems out there on the racetrack. But Dale looks really good today. Looks like he's got his head together, driving a smart race. And, Brad, I think he can keep it going on, Alan.
So closing the deal is what they need to do today. Meantime, at the head of the pack, Juan Pablo Montoya, Brad, it's just been impressive.
Well, I tell you, this is similar to Indy. You know, he just flat dominated that race that day, and it looks like he's well on his way, already leading 64 laps this race to being the dominant race car. Can he keep it together? Can he get that elusive win on an oval that he needs to march towards that championship? We'll watch it unfold.
Dave Burns is monitoring the radio transmissions in the Montoya pit. David?
Yep, and one thing he said was that wedge was not a good change. The car is a lot harder to control, and we have the evidence from our tape room. Go ahead and roll that. We'll show you Juan Pablo into turn 3, 10 laps after the restart. Here he goes, and now I want you to listen to his reaction on the radio. Yeah, so I have 2 questions. Do you doubt his ability? Answer no. And how do you spell that? Having a good time, but they need a better change next time for Juan Pablo.
Yeah, you know, Montoya's having a good time with this whole thing. The pressure of running for this championship isn't affecting him because he says he's got nothing to lose.
We're probably the team with the least pressure on. I think people don't really expect us to do too much. I think, you know what I mean? And I think that it really can play into our hands. But at the same time, I think we just keep building better cars. You know, we keep finding things to make the cars faster, and as long as we keep doing that, we're gonna keep raising our game, and it's gonna get to a point that the car to beat is gonna be us.
Oh, it's an interesting thing to me because the driver always talks about the team making the cars better, but there's no question Montoya's getting better as a stock car driver.
Yeah, I'm going back to my 3-year thing again. I tell you guys, 3 years all the time he's been in this sport now. He does have a great grip of what it's taken to get these cars around the racetrack, the changes, how to compete with his competitors. He's looking really, really good right now, and he's looking good again today. This has been 4 or 5 consistent weeks. This guy's been laying the numbers on the board every single week.
Yeah, he really has. And speaking of starting to put some numbers up, Dale Earnhardt Jr. here as he makes a move up on the racetrack, sliding to 8th position, backing up a good run that he had last week at Kansas before they had that lug nut issue and then eventually a drivetrain issue. He has got some good mojo going for that 88 team. But yes, Montoya is a special talent, and like you say, Rusty, that 3-year deal that you got, he's starting to rise to the top.
Brad, the guys upstairs are noticing that the 88 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is moving his lines around, and he's actually picked up about 0.4 of a second on the racetrack. And you know, this guy is really good at doing that. You see him a lot of the times up against the wall, a lot of the times on the bottom of the track like he is now. In fact, he's even on the apron. You can tell he's searching all around trying to find the best grip for that 88 car.
Update on Dale Jr. from Jamie.
Well, he had his work cut out for him, Alan. In qualifying, he hit one of the seams on the racetrack, got really loose, and ended up qualifying 37. The car has been great. They said they thought they were top 3 in speed. Right now, he's just tight through the center, and he's saying, let's go back on those last changes, which was air pressure. Try something different.
Jamie, June 15, 2008. That's 50 races ago, the last time Dale Earnhardt Jr. went to victory lane, and that is stuck in his craw. And this team, they've been thinking about trying to get back there, having such a good car. Last week, as you heard Brad and Rusty and Alan talking about, 41 laps he led a week ago, only to have the engine come apart. And now, DJ, they're really moving around here, this car on the racetrack.
Yeah, he's down on the apron in turns 3 and 4, and he's right against the wall in turns 1 and 2, as we see a battle for the lead now. But Junior picked up quite a bit of time. Tony Stewart was trying to pass him for position, and he's pulled away from him by about 3 seconds. Jimmy Johnson is now running down Montoya for the lead.
Yeah, Juan Pablo said he wasn't feeling any pressure, but he is right now because that 48 car is about 0.4 of a second quicker per lap than the 42.
Well, we heard he wasn't exactly satisfied with the changes that they made, so he'll just, let Jimmy probably go here before long, and then they can make those changes back to what he really feels like where the car is best.
Prior to the day coming into this race, Juan Pablo Montoya had led only 1 lap at this racetrack in 5 previous starts, that coming back in February. He has now led 5 times for 70 laps. Left side of your screen, battle for 3rd position. Jeff Gordon now trying to move in on the 11, who was our pole sitter today, Denny Hamlin.
Jimmy Johnson now, he's run Montoya down pretty quickly by running quite a bit faster lap times, but now that he's caught Montoya, it's not that easy to pass him.
Well, 42's in his lane. That's where he was running, exactly where Montoya. He was running him down in the same groove, and he doesn't want to take a chance on the outside. I think he'll be able to go by on the inside. He's just taking his time and making sure that he doesn't make a mistake in making this pass.
Jimmy trying to make
a pretty good run there.
Jimmy trying to make this pass because, Andy, they just a handful of laps or so away from their next stop.
Expect to see the leaders on pit road between laps 120 and 125. See, we're at lap 113 right now. You know, Montoya hanging in there on the top side. Okay, let's see who leads this lap.
Montoya will get him back before they get to the line.
That's one more lap in Montoya's column.
So right now, these guys are second and third in the point standings, very close together in terms of the points. And remember, leading the most laps at a NASCAR Sprint Cup race pays an extra 5 points.
And that'd be a 10-point swing if Montoya can take those 5 points away from Jimmy and he gets them. That's a 10-point swing over Jimmy.
See that right now, Ryan Newman would lose 2 positions. Casey Kane would jump another spot. The race would end right now. So Jimmy Johnson retakes the lead. We have had now 13 lead changes among 6 different drivers. Racetrack here at Auto Club Speedway, caution for the 3rd time today. Lap 117, they were about 5 or 6 laps away from their scheduled pit stop, and now they'll be able to make it here under the caution. Juan Pablo Montoya in second spot behind Jimmy Johnson. His car going away a little bit. Johnson's car getting better and better. Denny Hamlin was 3rd. Jeff Gordon 4th, and Mark Martin. Those are the top 5. Kevin Harvick, the first non-chaser there in 6th position.
And Scott Speed will be the driver to get the free pass here. He's the first car a lap down, so that'll put us back to 31 cars on the lead lap.
It's going to be an opportunity for Jimmy Johnson's team now to see if they can rectify some of the spots they've lost early in the race, if they can hold this lead on pit road.
Pit road speed is 55 miles an hour. They're going to come down and head to you, Jamie Little.
Jeff Gordon still complaining of the same thing. Tight all the way around on throttle and loose off. He wants 4 tires. They're making an air pressure adjustment for the 24. Working on the right side. Fill it up with Sunoco fuel, Dave.
Leader Jimmy Johnson is in bottom of your screen, while Pablo Montoya second place coming in the middle. Montoya's car is loose. They will go back on that wedge adjustment air pressure. As for Jimmy Johnson, he's going to get a wedge adjustment as well. Loose to start, snug at the end of the run. Main thing here, of course, keep their eye on their timing and getting everything right on the 48. Left side to finishing up. It looks like a clean stop and a normal exit. Vince?
There you see the FedEx car of Denny Hamlin. Hamlin says the car still needs to be better as they go back on the throttle, as Hamlin's going to beat him out onto the track from the pit lane. Still working on that Hamlin car. They say he still needs to be better on throttle and turn just a little bit better in the center. They're getting there.
Vince, here's our Pepsi refresh race off of pit road, and Denny Hamlin gets it done. The Pepsi car in second spot. In a couple positions, Jeff Gordon. You see Biffle up 5 positions.
5 spots. That's a good job on pit road getting 4 tires.
And the 17 car too fast on exit. The February winner here, Matt Kenseth, will have to come back down pit road. Under caution for the 3rd. Still under caution at Auto Club Speedway. Just some outstanding work done on pit road a moment ago.
Yeah, let's give these boys down on pit road their due. Denny Hamlin's crew, 12.8 was the fastest on pit road that time. You see Greg Biffle's crew just a 1/10 of a second off of that, but they gained 5 spots coming off pit road. And let's see, compare this to Jimmy Johnson's pit stop, and he's lost quite a few spots on pit road today with really fairly solid pit work, but it's just so close. 13.9, he loses a second to Biffle, loses most of that on the right side. You can see even though he was under 7 seconds, Biffle's crew under 6 seconds on the right. And that 3.1 on the left. Biffle's crew really getting it done down there.
Now Jimmy Johnson and Greg Biffle will start side by side on row 2 here in the restart. Aerial coverage provided by our good friends at Goodyear. New Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas. Calculate your savings at GoodyearTires.com. Beautiful fall afternoon here in Southern California. Temperatures in the upper 60s now. The sun has poked through and some of the overcast has burned away. NASCAR had moved this race later in the year and earlier in the day to have better weather conditions and better racing, and they have hit a home run in both situations. Good crowd on hand, as we have had 16 lead changes, 7 different leaders, and we are 5 laps away from halfway home here in race number 4 of the chase.
See Montoya lined up 3rd row inside. He lost 3 spots that last time on pit road.
Hamlin trying to pull out in front of Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon has not led a lap thus far today, and in fact has not led a single lap in the chase thus far this year.
Trying to change that right now. See Greg Biffle way on the high side. I still don't understand why so many guys have chosen that outside lane on these restarts.
The inside lane looks to be the preferred line every time we see it. They just listen to us. They won't. We've got it figured out up here.
Yeah, Gordon hoping he's got it figured out on the bottom of the racetrack to hold on to lead a lap. He did not lead last time by, and now Denny Hamlin will come back by on the outside, and Gordon is yet to lead today. Officially.
Yeah, he did lead half of that lap, but it just didn't count.
Jimmy Johnson on the outside.
Yeah, Gordon's not going to give up on his quest to get a lap led here.
How about Mark Martin and Montoya side by side for 4th spot?
Yes, we watch all of these guys. Notice how many of these guys up front here. We have 7 of our top 8 are all in the chase. And I think it just shows that, this chase does work. It's putting the best drivers in teams as they battle to get themselves in position to win a championship. And then they continue to run well when we get in these 10 races. So last week at Kansas, 10 of the top 11. And right now, Earnhardt Jr. is the only one in that top 8 that's not a part of the chase, as he's in the 7th spot.
Good battle here, 3 chasers. Biffle in the middle, Mark Martin downstairs, and now Martin's teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. will go down and try to follow him through.
Here comes the 48. He's gone on the outside of Jeff Gordon to take that 2nd spot away. He's got his sights set on that number 11 of Denny Hamlin.
The Montoya right side of your screen working the middle groove. Let's update him. Dave.
Yeah, lost a couple of spots on that round of pit stop stock, and here's why. When Chris McMullen, the rear tire changer, was taking the left side rear tire off, he knocked his air gun, which was sitting on the ground, ready for him to replace the lug nuts on the new tire. He knocked it away from himself, so he had a little bit of a split-second extra time that he had to reach for it, and as crew coach Chip Good told me, when everybody else has a perfect stop, then you lose spots. There goes Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson going by the 11 car to retake the lead. Johnson now has led 5 times today for a total of 22 laps.
Yeah, he's just been solid. He's been able to come through traffic. He's probably been the car that we've seen being able to pass more than anybody else out here. But he's got teammates with him. Jeff Gordon sitting there in the 3rd spot. Mark Martin right there in 4th.
Wow, look at this mess back here. The 44 almost got turned sideways a moment ago. There's Menard behind him. David Strimley in the 12 car. Kenseth, the 17 car that won here in February, had the speeding penalty exiting pit road a moment ago. He's back there in this mess. I'll show you what happened a moment ago to the 44 car.
He slides right up in front of Paul Menard. Well, stack up there.
See, Kenseth got into Menard and got him into A.J. Allmendinger.
17 car Kenseth trying to make his way through the field. And the 44 car having better and better runs coming off that top 10 just a couple of weeks ago at Dover. Vince.
Well, it's amazing that they've been able to run as well as they have today because they've had radio problems from the very beginning. Throughout the first stint and a half, they couldn't hear the driver, A.J. Allmendinger, at all. He was able to hear the crew, but they couldn't hear him. They've got a little bit better communication now, but it's still not perfect on the 44 of Allmendinger's. You see the action up front.
Thank you, Vince. Montoya and Martin running for position, and side by side behind him here is Biffle and the 88 car of Earnhardt, as Biffle will go by Earnhardt and take the 6th spot away.
Yeah, it looks like they keep making this 88 car better and better with each run. Dale Jr. is trying to take over that 6th spot from Biffle now. That'll put all the Hendrick cars in the top 6. Very impressive day for them, but really great job by Dale Jr. as he's marched his way from that 37th starting spot all the way up to 6th here now.
Good day for Hendrick Motorsports overall. We've said this week after week, but Jimmy Johnson, Gordon, Martin, and Earnhardt Jr., all 4 cars in the top 6. That's what I call teamwork.
You see this 42 car now starting to come in. Made a pass now. He's in 4th spot. Looking at Jeff Gordon for that 3rd spot.
Just so impressive what this 42 team has done. They got into the chase. No one expected they would be there, and they were the surprise entry, I guess. One of the rookies in the chase, and now they have become a factor, moving up now solidly 3rd in the points and trying to go to victory lane here.
Sucks thunder when I get on the gas. I mean, it just snaps when I get on the gas. Off the gas, it's not bad.
They're going to have to make some adjustments. I mean, the track has changed a lot since the start of the race.
Yeah, you can see he's really changed his line, too, even though he's trying to make a pass to the inside now. But he's not running quite as high on the racetrack. He tries to go around Jeff Gordon here and take that third spot away. But you just have to adjust so much with the changing conditions. But one spot that he seems to be really good, you see him enter turn 1 here, but he's been really fast off of turn 2, and that was a spot Rusty Wallace talked about. You get your car good there, you can pretty much assure that you're going to have a solid day.
Great battle here side by side, Jeff Gordon and Montoya. That's for third position. Yeah, Rusty was talking about when Roger Penske built this racetrack, he elevated the backstretch some 25 feet so it would be better for the fans to view it from the front straightaway. Have better sight lines, and that made the transition very difficult for some of the drivers coming off of turn 2. Up front, it is Jimmy Johnson, the native Californian. He's been here all week raising money for his foundation, and now he is leading the way here at lap 130. Well, this week on ESPN's Monday Night Football, Mark Sanchez and the Jets head to Miami, where they'll face Ronnie Brown and the Dolphins. Jets-Dolphins on ESPN's Monday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern Time. Mike Tirico and the gang will be there. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 7 o'clock Eastern. Got a good one going here in Southern California. Auto Club Speedway stop number 4 in the chase, and the reigning and 3-time Cup champion Jimmy Johnson as our leader. Denny Hamlin, who was the pole sitter today, running in second spot. Juan Pablo Montoya, Jeff Gordon, and Mark Martin, who was the points leader coming into the day, is now back in second in the points. Martin being shown in 5th position. The 2-car of Kurt Busch had come from the back of the field, now all the way up into 6th spot, but there's a lot of issues and concerns they have with this car. Shannon.
Yeah, it's been an eventful day for Kurt Busch. He had a run-in with a 99, scraped the wall early on. Right now, it's a guessing game. They're trying to figure out what they need to do to this 2-car as the temperature of the track and the air continues to change. This is what Kurt had to say.
I don't know what to change. I'm scared to make it worse. We're not doing bad in this center, a little loose off. Want to try like maybe a half a pound out of the right rear with like a quarter turn in the right rear or something? Dude, I'm afraid. I'm honestly afraid.
So the car has been loose, and what did they decide to do? It was a slight air pressure adjustment in 4 tires. But you guys, Dale, you probably know what it's like to be a little bit afraid to make some changes on the car in the middle of a race.
Well, yeah, you always want to try to make your car better, but sometimes you're just not sure that it's going to be better, so you're a little afraid to get a little too far on that edge. If you're on that edge of being a little too loose and you try to make that change, then it sends you over the edge and you lose a lot of spots. And this is the one concern that Kurt has had with this race team, is that he feels like that they could do a better job throughout the races of making adjustments. And so I think he's just a little bit timid, a little bit shy, as you said, a little bit afraid to make anything like that now, because the car isn't bad. It's not a winning car right now, but he knows that if they can continue this, then they can still find themselves in the chase, and they'll go on to next week.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. getting up on the bottom of the racetrack, or down on the bottom of the racetrack. Pretty unusual, I guess, to see him. He's normally up there as you almost right against the wall.
Yeah, we've been seeing him do that in 1 and 2. He likes to run the high side. See right here, it's he's running extremely high in this side of the racetrack, and then he goes down to 3 and 4 and puts it right on the apron. Yeah, this really worked well for him. He's just going where the grip is.
Yeah, it worked well for him in the last run. His car came on about 15 laps into that run. Jamie?
What do you guys call that? Hunting? He's hunting right now because he didn't make it all the way up there in practice. So Lance McGrew said, if the car is good, expect him to hunt up high. He loves it up there. And you guys, we talked about those adjustments Junior wanted to go back on. Last pit stop, they did go back, and they made an air pressure and a wedge adjustment, and the car's getting slowly but surely better.
I have to agree. I think this 88 car is definitely going in the right direction all day with the adjustments.
Second place, the 42 car of Montoya, now getting racier and going back, trying to go by the 11 car.
Man, he's wheeling that car now. You can see those elbows flying inside there.
Anytime you can see those hands moving, you know that he's got his hands full. But you can see that car's hung out a little bit here still. Montoya's not afraid to drive it, though, Dave.
Nope, and his team very impressed with his ability to search the line. Just like Jamie was just talking about, Juan Pablo Montoya has looked for a better line. His spotter, Tab Boyd, said, heck yeah, when he found it. He pulled away from the 24 and now passing the 11.
Dave, Denny Hamlin didn't want to give that up very easily, though. Hamlin hung right in there, and now Montoya has gone all the way down across the bottom of the racetrack and taken the second spot away and pulled him by now 4 car lengths.
Okay, now he's got some work to do. He's 5.8 seconds behind Jimmy Johnson. Let's see if he can make some of that up.
As of right now, Montoya has led the most laps today. He has led 5 times for 72 laps, and he would like to be able to hang on and get those bonus points. But this guy right here, Jimmy Johnson, says, I want those extra 5 points. Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle, and Matt Kenseth are driving Fords, and you could be too. Go to I'mDriving1.com to hear what the stars of Ford Racing have to say and register to win your own 2010 Ford Taurus. Glad to have you with us here. 143 laps in the Pepsi 500 at California. It is stop number 4 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. David Reagan in the UPS car back in 17th position, carrying one of our onboard cameras. David trying to get another good top 10 finish here. Likes this racetrack.
Yeah, and really one of the better days, even though 17th is not what they were looking for, but it is one of the better days that this race team has had.
His teammate, the 99 car of Carl Edwards, still searching for that elusive first victory here in 2009, being shown in the 8th position. Vince.
Well, and they thought maybe they'd have a chance to get that victory here this weekend, Doc. They won here back in February of 2008, but they just haven't had the car to do it so far. Edwards is running 9th. He's got 6 chasers ahead of him, and he says the car is just dramatically loose off the corner, and he asked his crew chief, Bob Osborne, can we take a big swing at it when we come for our next stop? I've got to be better. They got a lot of work to do.
Wow. See, yeah, he needs to be better. You don't want to work the steering wheel like that, man, every single lap. You know, I understand trying to turn it back, but you can see he's really fighting the car in the center of the corner all the way to the exit.
Carl needs to start moving up a little bit in the point standings here. He finished 2nd in the standings a year ago, to 69 points back of the champion, Jimmy Johnson.
Man, this has been a dogfight right here with the 88 and the 2.
Back and forth, these two guys here for 6th position. Let's show you the points we were talking about. When the day began, Mark Martin had an 18-point advantage over Jimmy Johnson and a 51-point advantage over Montoya. Let's show you right now across the top of your screen there. Right now, Jimmy Johnson, the points leader, by 12 points over Martin. You see Montoya there, 43 back in 3rd position.
It'll make it tough for these other guys to gain any points whenever the 48, the 42, and the 5 all run the top 5 every week.
Thought Jimmy Johnson was good the last couple of years, winning a championship, averaging a 5th or 5.7 average finish, and this year that could be even better than that.
Certainly the way this thing has started out, there's 3 cars that have really shown that they're going to want to be the best.
Jimmy Johnson and Juan Montoya ran the exact times last lap by.
Dave?
DJ, the first 2 cars have one thing in common for sure this weekend. It's that they brought their Indianapolis race cars. And if we remember, Jimmy Johnson dominated the day and won that day. Actually, Juan Pablo Montoya, you could argue, dominated the day and then gave it away with a pit road penalty later on. He's moving forward in that 42 car right now, but both crew chiefs knew they wanted to save these race cars for this big, flat, wide racetrack early in the chase.
It's a very good point, Dave. In fact, Juan Pablo Montoya, as you said, led 116 laps that day, had that speeding penalty on pit road, but he had the best car that day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. If you just joined our coverage, we'll mention that Kyle Busch, struggling with the flu all day, had strep throat earlier in the week, did a gallant job early on to gain 20 positions from the back of the field in the 18 car. He is now out of the car, and they have put David Gilliland in to substitute drive, and there's the progression for Gilliland as the driver.
You can see he's done a good job just trying to get acclimated to the car, but it looked like he's still struggling with the handling a little bit. You can see as he came out of turn 4 there, he'd passed Sam Hornish, but had to get out of the throttle then.
Gilliland will drive a 4th Joe Gibbs racing car 3 times later in the year. In fact, he'll be at Charlotte, Texas, and Homestead. That'll be the 0-2 car. Shannon?
Yeah, guys, they have been working on the handling of this 18 car. It was a little bit off for David Gilliland, tight in the center, so they have been working on it. Now, this is the first time that this team is working with David Gilliland. He has tested for Joe Gibbs Racing, but never worked with him in race conditions. And just an FYI, he will be in a 4th Gibbs car starting next week in Charlotte, and he will be in that 4th car for several races this season.
Thank you, Shannon. And again, and in defense of David Gilliland, he had not sat in this car. It had been set up for Kyle Busch. He just has to climb in it and drive it. So obviously a totally different setup maybe than what Kyle normally would want to run. Back up front, 150 laps in of 250. They're working lap 151. It is Jimmy Johnson who dominated this race last year and the year before in the fall, winning back-to-back. And Jimmy Johnson has been so good here in Southern California. We told you he grew up about a half an hour away. Plenty of motorsports action yet to come your way, as well as updates. NHRA, the Virginia Nationals, finals tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern time. We will wrap up the weekend's action with NASCAR Now, 10 o'clock Eastern time, updating what happened yesterday in the Nationwide Series, closing up in the points there, as well as the Sprint Cup Series. And of course, next Friday night, NASCAR Nationwide Series action, live flag to flag, 7:30 Eastern time in Charlotte, North Carolina. And on Saturday night at 7 Eastern on ABC, the NASCAR Banking 500 only from Bank of America. And that is halfway home in the chase. It'll be stop number 5 in the chase for the Sprint Cup. These guys just back and forth between Kurt Busch and Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the 6th position.
These are 2 cars that are just about evenly matched. I mean, this has been a 10 or 12 lap battle going on here.
Yeah, at least that long.
Maybe longer.
They're running just totally different lines, especially down in 3 and 4 now. Kurt Busch earlier was down on the apron, kind of like Junior's been doing. They both run a pretty high line, although I don't think the 2 will be quite as high as Junior will be right here. They're making it work.
Should be easing in a handful of laps away from what would be their next scheduled pit stop. Let's show you what a pit stop will look like as the 98 car of Paul Menard just came in a moment ago. Here's Ryan McRae.
Now here's West Coast. You see he's a tire carrier for this 98 team. You see the teamwork involved here. I mean, it really is like a ballet. These tire changers, they really count on these tire carriers to place that tire in there very accurately. Does a good job.
Did you ever take ballet lessons to be able to do that?
Yeah, I never could get my shoes to fit right.
And those fresh tires on the 98 making a big difference here. And boy, fresh Goodyears are a driver's friend at this racetrack. Here comes the 20 car, yesterday's winner in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, Joey Logano. Shannon.
Doc, 2 words to describe that car: really loose. That's how it's been all race. They're going to put a rubber into the right rear and a rubber out of the left rear. Should take a little bit longer on this pit stop. 4 tires for the 20 team.
Watching the clock tick away, going to the left side. They want to get him out under 14 and a half. And almost. 43 car, Reed Sorensen bringing his car down pit road, 55 miles an hour. Top of your screen, he slides it to a halt.
The right side going on here. Pretty well on schedule. A little bit close to the wall on the left, but the Jackman has enough room. And he's down in about 14 and a half.
Let's go down to the 18 pit. Shannon.
And David Gilliland still maintaining track position for that 18 car. They're going to go to work on it. This is the first time that they have worked with David Gilliland, so he's still trying to get a feel for that 18 car. 4 tires and fuel for David Gilliland. And Greg Biffle is also on pit road right now, guys. He's lost 8 positions since that last great pit stop when he came down earlier. So the guys are going to go to work again, try to get him some position. The car has gone to the tight side, so they're going to make a track bar adjustment and a wedge Greg Biffle.
Jimmy Johnson coming down, Dave.
He gives up the lead, Doc, and the main thing that he was talking to with his crew chief Jack Lanaus was he hurt the grip off just a little bit. That's only going to be an air pressure adjustment for Jimmy. No chassis adjustments on this race car. 4 fresh tires on it, and hopefully a smooth and efficient pit stop. Looks like it, and Jimmy gets off pit road right now.
Under 14.5 seconds. Good stop for the 48 bunch. Here is Carl Edwards coming in to get his scheduled stop. Vince?
The 99 of Carl Edwards. Remember, a few moments ago, we told you Carl wanted to take a big swing at it. Major air pressure adjustment all the way around. 4 tires and fuel. It's just too loose, and he's been fighting it all day long. Carl Edwards got to get better here in the second half of the race.
Juan Pablo Montoya on pit road right now. He said it's turning decent, but I just can't put the power down. That's a forward bite issue. So they'll make an air pressure adjustment for him, 4 tires. As for Mark Martin right now, Mark complaining that the car, he wants to turn better, but he can't stand it to be any looser. So they're going to make a right front air pressure adjustment only. Vince?
Crew Chief Mike Ford was afraid that Denny Hamlin was staying out too late. They were urging him, you got to come in now. He has had a car that's been fighting loose all day long. They're making an air pressure adjustment, try to make it better. Jamie?
And Jeff Gordon says it's actually turning pretty good now, so the car is getting better as it gets warmer. 4 tires for him, no chassis adjustments. Oh, and it goes in the back window. They are making a chassis adjustment. They go to the left side, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. makes his way down pit road in the 88. Car is getting better. He just told the team we are making progress. It's the first time today this car has felt as good as it currently does. Working on the left side, no chassis adjustments for Dale Earnhardt Jr. having a solid day, Shannon.
Another guy having a solid day is Kurt Busch. You heard him on the radio earlier wondering what they were going to do to the car. Right now is air pressure and 4 tires for this 2 car. He says it's loose, but it's fun.
What a stop. 13 seconds for the 2 guys.
Look at these 2 guys still racing off the pit road side by side.
Here comes the 14 car, Tony Stewart, who was our leader, last week's winner. He will come down for his scheduled stop. Jamie.
And Tony Stewart, you see him in the 14 there. 4 tires, they'll fill it up with Sunoco fuel. Don't see a wrench going up. There it is. They pull out the wrench. They're going to make a track bar adjustment. Get this car to turn a little bit better through the center. You see him working around the left side. Tony Stewart just doesn't have this car as good as they thought it was capable of. You see him working there. They're a little slow. He's down, and he's away, guys.
Almost 16 seconds there for Tony Stewart, and now he's got to be careful not to speed coming off of pit road. Cycled through at pit stops. There is Jimmy Johnson, our leader, and you see Juan Pablo Montoya is there. That's the differential. Montoya said he just couldn't get enough power, wanted adjustments on the car, so the car was turning well. We'll see if he's got enough power now to run down Jimmy Johnson. Lap 163 of 283 laps to go here in the Pepsi 500 at California. Jimmy Johnson is our leader. Juan Pablo Montoya second, Jeff Gordon is third, Mark Martin fourth, and Denny Hamlin fifth. All 5 cars are chase contenders. There's the interval you saw from Jimmy Johnson back to Juan Pablo Montoya.
Okay, here's our top 5 pit stops from that round of pit stops. You'll see a new number on that board. Look down there. Jimmy Johnson makes the first 5 at 13.5 seconds. And Kurt Busch's team doing a great job. Still up on top at 12.8. Having a good day down there.
Now, we told you that Jimmy Johnson's guys have been struggling on pit road the first couple of stops, but this one they got it done, as we show you with the clocks running this latest pit stop for the 48 bunch.
Now, this is a real-time clock. You can see right here. It starts right when the car stops. Guys go to work on the right-hand side. Like I say, you're looking for something in that 6-second range on the right. There it is, 6 flat. Now the clock's running for the Jackman. He gets it up in 3.9. Now we're down at 3.6 on the left.
So we're awarding this 48 bunch our Gillette in the clutch moment. And to find out how your favorite athletes prepare for success, go to ESPN.com, search Locker Room Report. Might want to update. We showed you that when the 14 car, Tony Stewart, who did stay out to lead a lap, came down pit road, his pit stop was almost 16 seconds, and he was trying to hustle off and got caught speeding in 3 different segments on pit road: 60.208, 60.204, and 60.737 miles per hour.
Well, he only had to serve 1 penalty though, but it was a stiff one. He had to make a pass through under green, and that really cost him some time.
Yeah, it's got him a lap down, back in the 29th spot now. So those 5 points that he tried to pick up by staying out there, he gave up a lot more than that by speeding.
See, the points are tight at top.
Tony Stewart then will drop back 3 positions right now as the race were to end right now. He's in 7th spot.
Well, Tony Stewart's glad it's not going to end right now. He's got some time to try to make this up.
We might also mention for you Jeff Gordon fans, we did mention Jeff had not led a lap in the chase this year. Well, he just led a lap a moment ago. He stayed out when others came in the pit, and so he is officially getting the 5 bonus points for leading a lap. 18 car with substitute driver David Gill, and in for the ill Kyle Busch, being passed by our leader Jimmy Johnson. So the 18 car will now go 1 lap down and being shown in 24th position. More on the 48 car. Dave.
Okay, I got a little quiz for you, Doc, and the guys sitting next to you there. What's the one adjustment made to the 48 car today that they had nothing to do with?
I give up, Dave.
Oh, come on, Andy. The sun. They started in definite clouds and overcast conditions here, and the sun came out as we see Dale Earnhardt Jr. fighting with Kurt Busch for that spot again. Chad Knaus told me that I like it hotter here at this racetrack because when you've got cooler temperatures, everybody runs the same line. There's lots of grip, but it tends to be only one line. I like it when it changes to sunny, and he believed that it would. He looked at the weather forecast, and he knew that that would help his race car.
Well, you're right, Dave. Ever since the sun's come out, he's really been better. I mean, a lot better. I hate it when you give me those quizzes, though.
Hey, somebody that made some good adjustments on that last pit stop is Mark Martin's guys. I don't know what they did, or if it's just a set of tires, or if Mark's just now deciding, okay, it's time to go. But he's been the fastest car on the track for about the last 6 laps. He's still a good ways behind. He's 11 seconds behind Jimmy Johnson, but he's consistently running in the 41-second bracket. Dave, what'd they do?
Okay, here it is, guys. Mark told his crew chief, we started too good. He knows right now the car is perfect, but he's afraid it's going to tighten up or loosen up over this long run. It's just too good right now. That's why he's been passing race cars.
I didn't think it could be too good.
Yeah, but you know what he means.
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
You don't want to start the run in the position you'd rather end it in.
Well, he's making hay right now.
And they were only on pit road for about 13.5 seconds here. Now Mark Martin being shown back in 3rd position, but moving in on Johnson and Montoya.
2/3 of the way through today's race in California. Our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. New Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas. Calculate your savings at GoodyearTires.com. America has fallen in love with ABC's Modern Family, but there's one family member that no one expected to see. Shelley Long guest stars in an all-new Modern Family, Wednesday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Laugh with all of America on ABC Comedy Wednesday. From the ESPN pit studio with Rusty Wallace and Brad Daugherty, watching Jimmy Johnson lead Juan Pablo Montoya by 7.4 seconds. And focusing for the moment on a theme we talked about on NASCAR Countdown, the pressure of the chase as close as this championship is, and mistakes, which leads us to Tony Stewart.
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing we talked about in the Countdown show is do not make any mistakes. Well, the good thing for Tony Stewart is that he's the only car out there that could go as far in fuel. He went 45 laps in fuel. That was a good run for Stewart. But the problem was he sped on pit road. Now he really killed himself. He's 3 points or 3 positions back in the point standings now because of that mistake. And that's something you don't want to have happen.
Put himself in great position, like you say, with that long fuel run to take advantage after the guys came on pit road. That is a critical mistake for this race team, and he's put himself back. And I don't know, we'll look back, like I said earlier, at the end of the year, Tony Stewart's team could look back and look at this race as an opportunity lost in the chase for the Cup.
At the moment, as they run, it cost Tony 54 points when he fell from 12th to where he's running now. 12th was where he was before the cycle of pit stops began. Meantime, Mark Martin starting to make a little bit of noise. You heard the boys in the booth talk about it just a second ago. Martin in third and running lap times that are pretty sporty.
Yeah, very, very impressed with Mark Martin right now. I mean, the track has been getting hotter and hotter out there. Mark's been doing a really good job keeping up with the racetrack. He's been working on his car. He's been running all over the track trying to find the right groove. Right now he's running third. He's second in the points, only 7 points behind this 48 car. Doing a great job.
Had his hands full there, didn't he?
Well, he's a good driver. He can hold on to it, guys.
Got his attention.
All right, let's talk about Jeff Gordon for just a second. He was another guy we focused on Countdown. Said this team's really got to get a win soon if they're going to have a shot at this championship. Right now, Gordon running in 4th spot. Let's hear what his team's thinking about their race so far. Jamie?
Well, their car has changed a lot. You guys were tight to begin with. Now you're really loose. How much is this sun affecting you guys?
Yeah, the Dupont Chevrolet, you know, it's been decent all day long. Started tight. Definitely freeing up. I think the sun's affecting it a lot, but we're going to keep working on it. We really want to get this Pepsi car in victory lane for the Pepsi 500, make the sponsor proud.
We're seeing a lot of adjustments and then going back on those adjustments as they continue to change. And right now, as it stands, Jeff Gordon is 4th in points.
By the way, just a note about working conditions for these crew chiefs and these crews. Letard's pit there off turn 4, the entrance of pit road. You hear the noise level there. Concentrate on your notes. Think through all the engineering you got to do under those conditions in the afternoon. So Jimmy Johnson out in front by 7 seconds over 2nd place. And right now he's just overtaken Montoya for the most laps led in this race. Remember, 5 extra bonus points to the driver that leads the most laps on a day. And Doc, DJ, and Andy, as close as this championship's been so far, it wouldn't surprise me if those bonus points play a big factor in the outcome of this thing come Homestead, Miami.
Alan, it very, very surely could. And the other thing we're talking about with Jimmy Johnson is the fact that they have not historically gotten really good fuel mileage. Remember, this track, California, is a sister track to Michigan, where Jimmy tried to roll the dice and ran out of gas in the final laps and tried to get the win. And Andy, if you calculate it right now, if we stay green, this could be very close.
Yeah, I know where you're going, Doc. They could make it on one more stop. Most of the cars can, but it's going to take pretty good fuel mileage. And I remember talking to Jimmy after the Michigan race, and he said, he said, man, we just do not do well when it comes down to that. So we'll see how it plays out. There may be another caution between now and the end, but if not, it's going to have to be stretching it a little bit for them to make it on one more stop.
Calculations that some of the guys may be as much as 1 lap shy. And how much can you afford to roll the dice when you got so many cars so close together in the chase with a championship hanging in the balance? Jimmy Johnson, our leader, less than 70 laps ago here in California. Caution being waved for the 4th time today. Debris on the racetrack here, and the leaders have now slowed down with 65 laps to go, and they should be coming back on pit road. Jimmy Johnson will indeed make the left-hand turn and lead him down. Jamie.
And Jeff Gordon loose in, loose off. They're going back on the adjustments they made on the last pit stop. Track bar up just a bit. Put the wedge back in it. 4 tires for the 24, Dave.
2nd place, Montoya, middle of your screen. His car is too loose. They will make a track bar and air pressure adjustment. Jimmy Johnson will get an air pressure adjustment for the car that needs to roll the center better. As good as that leader has been, he does want one more adjustment. Vince?
Denny Hamlin coming in the 11 car. Hamlin has been fighting the loose race car all day long, but now he says it's really gotten tight in the center, so they're going to make air pressure adjustments on both right side tires and go down a quarter round on the left rear wedge. Hamlin thought he would have a car to compete for the win today, but it's got to get better as he goes for the race off pit road. Very close.
Well, what a race off, and Denny Hamlin will gain 4 positions. Montoya gets in front of Jimmy Johnson. Johnson back 2 spots. Gordon back a couple of positions.
Biffle's crew gaining 3 more. Man, this is a tight race off pit road. I mean, it was razor thin.
Hamlin, by virtue of being the pole sitter, had that first spin, was able just to slam the throttle and just get Montoya. Look how close that was.
You can see why a 1/10 of a second on a pit stop makes a difference.
So Jimmy Johnson will lose 2 positions on pit road. Montoya's guys getting it done, and he's able to come down and get in front of Jimmy Johnson. .48 cars had a couple of issues in the first 2 stops. Let's see what happened here on this one.
Yeah, they've had some little gremlins on pit road today. No major disasters, but they've just lost spots. quite a few times.
One thing we're going to see here is he tries to exit pit road, really spinning the tires getting out of there. He just can't get that forward bite.
And guys, Chad Knaus talked to his crew chief about the car rolling forward just a little bit during that stop. There was an adjustment made there. I was away from my monitor when you guys were rolling that, but there was some adjustment made in which Chad said, good job for that catch. So there was something that maybe the car rolling forward, like Jimmy had taken his foot off the brake.
Yeah, it takes real teamwork, and if you let that car roll just a little bit, it can throw the timing off.
So Jimmy will line up third right now, and right in behind him is Mark Martin, our in-race reporter. Let's talk to Mark.
Hey, Mark, Dale Jarrett, you have a copy? Hey, Mark, Dale Jarrett, you have a copy? Hey, Mark, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN, you have a copy?
Hey, DJ. Yeah, I can barely hear you there. You're breaking up a little bit. Yeah, our Kellogg's Carquest Chevy's pretty strong. It seems to be a little hot and cold when we switch the tires. Sometimes it's really fast, and sometimes it's just about average. So we're going to keep wrestling these guys and see if we can go for the win here. You know, part of the time the car runs good enough, I think, to be a contender here. So we'll just keep battling and see what we can do here.
Has the track changed a lot, Mark, since the sun's really come out these probably last 100 laps?
All right, buddy. Yeah, I can't understand what you're saying there, DJ, but good race so far. I think it's going to get exciting here toward the end. One to go here at the line. One to go at the line.
Mark Martin will line up back in fourth position. Denny Hamlin, by virtue of winning that race off pit road, will be our leader. He was the pole sitter today and had led 19 laps thus far this afternoon. Montoya second, Jimmy Johnson third, and Mark Martin fourth, with Kevin Harvick having a very good run. That 29 car, brand new car out of the Richard Childress stable, having a good effort here for Kevin Harvick today.
Yeah, they made a really good pit stop that last green flag stop and got Kevin a couple positions, and he was really strong on the racetrack. So let's see what he can do now that he has the leaders in sight.
And his teammate Casey Mears, by the way, DJ, having a good run. Mears had driven that 07 car all the way to the top 10, has just stayed there.
Been really solid all day long, and now he's another that has everybody in sight. Let's see once he restarts here if he can stay up.
There you go. Kurt Busch leads the group again off pit road. And Kevin Harvick makes the top 5 with 12.9. His crew doing a great job.
We'll point out the wave around cars have come. Tony Stewart has opted to stay out here after he was that lap down after getting caught speeding. He's now back on the lead lap. Of course, he has a lot older tires and less fuel than these other guys, but it could work to his advantage if he can get a caution.
Tony Stewart being shown back in 24th position, but as you said, now back on the lead lap. There are 26 cars on the lead lap. We're going to ride along with our leader and watch the telemetry on the Denny Hamlin's Toyota as we listen to our spotters and we go full throttle.
Well, bunch of laps down. Last time, Bud, because we had to pit on the exact lap we pitted to make. Green is still out.
Denny Hamlin spinning around, contact, chain reaction on the restart here. And Hamlin, who was the leader, Montoya behind him, Jimmy Johnson behind him, and there's damage now on his Toyota.
Yeah, he caught the end of that pit wall, and it's made some significant damage to the front end. Man, what a bad break for Hamlin.
Yeah, Montoya
it's going to be a good break for Tony Stewart. Now he does get that lap back.
Yeah, Montoya got a good run, and he was being pushed by Jimmy Johnson, and it looked like as Hamlin tried to make a block on those guys that there was some contact.
Yeah, the 48 and 42 were in contact as they came across the start-finish line on the restart. Show you again what happened as Hamlin takes his car directly back to the garage area to get some repairs. Here they are coming down and coming across. Now watch the right side of your screen, the 42 and 48.
Hamlin gets out, and he's trying to cut down and cut that spot off there. Montoya was there.
Yeah, and he was getting a good push from Jimmy. You see, that's where the damage comes from, the end of that pit wall. If he just could have slid just a little bit farther, he'd have been okay.
Mark Martin's vantage point looking down, and you see the contact there as Hamlin goes sliding.
I don't really understand it. If you're wanting to protect that inside, why don't you get down there and start there? He had his choice as to where to start, so I think that right there was just a mistake by Denny Hamlin.
Just a slight miscalculation.
Yeah.
There's the impact against the end of the pit wall. Pretty significant impact. Remember, even though the restart, they're still going well over 100 miles an hour.
Oh, man, if he could have just gone just another foot or two, he could have missed that and had no damage at all. Tough break for Hamlin.
He came in here 6th in the chase points and is headed back to the garage area to make as many repairs as they possibly can. He was the pole sitter today and had led 4 times for 21 laps. Not been a good weekend for Denny Hamlin. Yesterday in the Nationwide car, he had climbed in as a substitute driver for Kyle Busch, driving the 18 car.
Racing hard. These guys trying to go for the win. Greg Biffle jumps up on the outside of Brad Keselowski and Denny Hamlin. Denny didn't see him.
Moments ago, as the race leader on the restart, there's contact in the 42 and the 11, and Hamlin goes sliding across the grass, and his unlucky day again, just catching the end of the pit wall. And they've taken that car back to the garage to hurriedly try to make some repairs. We'll see what Mike Ford and the guys can do with this 11 car.
Yeah, they're just going to try to minimize the damage. I mean, there's nothing to do but just try to get it back out there. I want to try to see this 42 car now. He had a pretty significant contact now with that right front corner. Just want to see if there's any damage to his car. Looks pretty clean from this shot. He hit that left rear pretty hard there of Hamlin's.
So caution now for the 5th time a day involving 3 of our chase and championship contenders. Denny Hamlin's car now in the garage area.
Welcome back to Auto Club Speedway. It's the 4th race in the chase, and it has taken a bad turn for Denny Hamlin as you see his FedEx crew working on his car after damage to the front end. And the double file restarts, always dangerous. Denny, what happened from your perspective?
I just made a rookie mistake. I thought I was clear of the 42 and he was getting a run, and I think the 48 was pushing him and just came right across his nose. I thought I was clear and just misjudged it. But got to apologize to the team. They deserve better than that. They got me out front and just bad mistake.
Disappointing for Denny Hamlin, his crew working feverishly to try to get this car back out there for as many points as possible here, but certainly not the way they wanted this day to go on.
Vance, thank you. Very honest answer by Denny Hamlin, apologizing to his team and admitting that it was, as you said, DJ, he just made a mistake.
Yeah, you're going to do that sometimes. I mean, it's just going to happen. As long as you're going to drive race cars and put yourself up there in those type of positions, then things are going to happen. And, sometimes you really have to know kind of who you're racing around.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I'm going to turn left in front of somebody, there's Juan Montoya would be the top of the list of people I wouldn't do it to, because he's not going to back off. I mean, he is going to stick it in there, and if he's got you by a quarter of an inch, he's got you by a quarter of an inch.
We do see him, Montoya here. He is the leader of the race, and he has chosen that inside line. So he's been paying attention to what you were saying earlier.
He has. He was paying attention to what just happened.
Jimmy Johnson will start beside him on the outside line, then Mark Martin and Kevin Harvick behind them. Denny Hamlin, by the way, had moved to within 74 points of the lead here in this championship chase. We talked about how close the points were coming in, and now sitting back in the garage area, he's going to lose at least 3 positions, if not more, before this day is done.
Yeah, and as Andy pointed out, too, a huge break for Tony Stewart. He took that chance on that waiver round. Now he's been able to get in and get tires and is back on the lead lap.
Stewart showing back in 22nd position. Down for the restart here, 57 laps to go. Inside lane, there's Martin, there's Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson trying to hang it up high. Montoya now has the advantage off of turn 1.
And you can see the advantage for the inside lane is really good getting down to the corner. Seems like if you can run that outside good on the first lap, you can make up some ground coming off of 2. Man, look at Harvick, 3 wide.
All the way under the 24 car of Gordon for position. Gordon going down on the apron of the racetrack. Up front, Jimmy Johnson going to the high side and sails by Montoya. Great action all around the pack here. That's the top two right there. And then about 15 car lengths back to Martin. Kurt Busch in the 2 car now has gotten his car dialed in, and behind him is the 24 car.
I was watching Matt Kenseth there on the restart. You see, he got the lap, the lucky dog back on lap 184, got himself back on the lead lap.
And he's running the 11th right now.
Yeah, he just sailed around cars on the outside, up in 1 and 2. Picked up 8 spots since the restart.
Matt Kenseth won this race back in the spring from 24th. He has also won here at California from 25th and from 31st. No one's been able to do it from further in the pack than this guy. He has a way of somehow getting his car back to the front.
That's amazing. I mean, he was just nowhere about 20 laps ago. Here comes Gordon on the outside of Kurt Busch.
4th position for Gordon going by, taking it away. Nine car, Casey Kane, and now the 17 trying to make a move, and that's for 9th position.
Yeah, they just split Greg Biffle and sent him back. See Jeff Burton in this mix too. Good run for him today.
And look at Matt Kenseth go. That's just incredible.
Jeff Burton, you can see him giving a little push to Casey Kane. That sends him out in front through the center of the corner. See if Matt Kenseth make that bottom work and make the pass. Now here comes Casey Kane back on the outside.
See a gaggle of cars coming off the corner right here. Oh, man, that's coming.
3 wide, Biffle in the middle of that bunch. Truex on the bottom. Here
look at Ambrose coming up on the outside, man. What a great run he's having today.
God. The prediction was that racing would be much, much better than we've seen at California Speedway because of the cooler conditions and the earlier start time later in the year, and it has certainly been that and more. Great racing. Marcus Ambrose now underneath the 31 car for position. That's for 11th spot. The 83 car, Brian Vickers, back in 30th position with more issues. Jamie.
Many issues. His car was bouncing around like crazy, and for good reason. This right rear shock is broken. The tower broke. It is out of his car. That means there is no right rear shock. In order to compensate, he came in 3 different times. They put 4 spring rubbers in there. Believe it or not, he says the car feels better right now. Andy, I know you guys laughed at me when I said he didn't have a shock.
Yeah, you said he was missing a right rear shock. I didn't know. He really is. I mean, now you can see right there, she's holding the shock in the mount where you can see where it tore out of the frame. That's going to be, obviously you can't fix that without coming to the garage and welding a new mount on, so they're just going to make the best of it.
3 wide here, 33, couple of teammates, Boyer, Burton, and there goes Biffle, the 3 Bs, battling for position there, and that is 13th, 14th, and 15th.
It's just wild racing right now. You see, whoever can get that run and make it happen, looks like they're 10 miles an hour faster all of a sudden.
8th and 9th, left side of your screen, Casey Kane and Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Casey Kane's come to life here. His car hasn't been very good. We watched him a lot of the day. His car just hasn't been all that good. Looks like they made some adjustments that are suiting him right now. There's Matt Kenseth still on the bottom, making his way forward. It's like Junior's struggling right now, trying to make that high line work.
We have had 23 lead changes among 9 different drivers. Jimmy Johnson has led 8 times for 87 laps. Folks, 50 laps to go here at California.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Pepsi. Every generation refreshes the world. Learn more at refresheverything.com/racing. Bank of America, the official bank of NASCAR. Goodyear, innovative technology to help you get there. And Nationwide Insurance. Nationwide is on your side.
Folks, we are setting up for what could be a wild finish here in the Pepsi 500 at California. Why? Because, you know, Jimmy Johnson as our leader, Andy Petrie, these guys have got to make one more pit stop with roughly 20 laps to go.
Yeah, around 20 to go, they got to make a pit stop, so it's going to be interesting to see what kind of strategies they use if it goes green all the way. I saw Tony Stewart make a pit stop with about 48 laps to go. That's still a little bit too far to try to make it unless he could really throttle it back and try to stretch it. It'd be almost impossible to make that many, though.
The 2-car, we talked about how Kurt Busch and his team have kept battling. Last week they came from 39th to finish 11th. Today from outside the top 20, now to be shown in 5th position.
They've done it with good pit work. Every time we put the top 5 pit crews, pit stops up on the screen, and he has been at the top.
And it looks like maybe they've been, kind of tiptoeing with their adjustments, but each one getting a little bit better, and his car seems to be the best right now that he's been throughout the race.
A couple of Roush Fenway drivers, and we talked about the chronology of the 17 car coming from a lap down, getting back on the lead lap, and now Matt Kenseth driving that car back toward the top 10. He was in 10th, now being shown in the 11th spot. Biffle back in 12th.
Marcus Ambrose has driven his car into the top 10. Having a great race so far.
See Kenseth really fighting his car right now. Looks like he's extremely loose. He was really fast when those tires were fresh. But it seems to be going away from him a little bit, as is Greg Biffle a little bit. Oh, Sam Hornish a minute ago, I believe, coming off of turn 4. Watch him as he's racing with David Rudeman right here. Oh, yeah.
Wow. God, look at the smoke coming off that right rear.
Man.
That's cool.
It wasn't over yet down in turn 2. He was all the way up across the racetrack.
Ooh, that's not cool.
That smoke coming off the right rear reminds me of Dale Earnhardt. We used to have bi-sply tires. He'd just smoke the right rear, wouldn't he?
He could. And I remember Darlington, he could smoke that right rear all the way through the corner.
Sam Hornish, who finished 5th at Michigan, the sister track to this one, another 2-mile D-shaped oval, trying to hold on and get a good finish here today, being shown in 22nd position on the lead lap. Jimmy Johnson, our leader, 43 laps to go, trying to do it 2 years in a row here at the home racetrack. Dave?
Doc, you talked about that final pit stop. Communication between driver and pit crew crucial before they come in. And the 48 team had an open radio channel, like a microphone was opening and sticking here in the pits. It's made it difficult recently. And here was Chad's words to everybody in their pit box after it happened the last time.
This pit stop, everybody that is not a part of the team turns the radio off. Truck drivers, Malik, whoever, I want everybody that's got a 48 radio on to turn it off. And just take them back to the truck unless they're part of the pit crew. Everybody.
All right, so non-essential personnel turned off their radios. They believe they have it corrected. Why? Because it hasn't happened since. So that's good news for communication as we get down to the end of this race.
I can tell you that is one of the most aggravating things that you can deal with during the race if you have a radio. There's sometimes you can have up to 18, 20 radios on your channel, and if one of them hangs up, nobody can talk to each other, and it's very, very frustrating.
And as a driver, you're hearing something, you're not able to hear your spotter through those times. It's really distracting, and obviously you can't have the communication that you need, but it's totally distracting as a driver as you have that in your ear.
Talked about Tony Stewart and the efforts he had made, this team had made. They were back in 29th position, a lap down because of a speeding penalty exiting pit road. Got the wave around, got back on the lead lap, and has now driven this number 14 car back into top 20 at 18th position. There's Carl Edwards trying to take that 18th spot away.
Yeah, we saw Carl earlier up in the top 10 running around the 8th spot, and looked like he was they had things kind of figured out, but he's certainly fallen back since then.
Well, this has been a team this year that's just been a little bit off, just a half a tooth off somewhere.
Yeah, they said that they wanted to make a big swing at things, and I think their swing might have been a strike, swing and a miss here,
or
because
a foul.
It really hasn't helped them at all.
Vince?
Well, guys, and Andy, I know you could probably speak to this as a crew chief, but it's got to be frustrating when they know what their problem is. They've been fighting loose all day long. Every single time Carl comes on the radio, it almost identical feedback, but they can't get the car to grip. That's been the issue. Loose, lack of overall grip. They've tweaked on it, and tweaked on it, and they just haven't been able to make any headway for him.
Yeah, Vince, you're just limited on what you can do during the race. I mean, you can't change springs, you can't change sway bars, you can't change shocks, the things that you would love to do. You can only turn the jack screws on the wedge and the track bar and change the air pressures, and sometimes the car will not respond to that.
Let's update Ryan Newman's day in the 39 car. There's a 39 right side of your screen. Ryan being shown back in the 16th position. He had an issue early on with the right front tire, brought out the caution flag.
Yeah, he went down early, but he's made a lot of headway back now on the lead lap in 16th spot. Still got some time to make up some more.
The top 5 cars right now are all chase contenders. Jimmy Johnson is our leader. 2.6-second margin between Johnson and Juan Pablo Montoya in second spot. Then Mark Martin is third. Jeff Gordon fourth. Kurt Busch is fifth. And the car that's running back in sixth position is a local boy from Bakersville, California. And we keep talking about what a great job Casey Mears has done here in the last 5 or 6 races. Vince.
Well, and Casey Mears says the car's just a little bit too free from the center off, but it's not bad. And I'll tell you, when you up and down pit road, you hear some of the comments from some of these guys. So when you hear one actually say it's not bad, then that generally means it's pretty good. And as you said, Doc, he's had some good runs here, but they just really haven't had the results to show for it. They really believe that today they may finally get that good result that they've deserved for so many other times here. Well, wouldn't it be good to get it in front of the home fans here in Bakersfield?
I mean, right now he would equal his best finish of the year, which was a 6th at Michigan, a track very similar to this one. And here's the 11 car after a minus some of the front sheet metal of Denny Hamlin coming back on the racetrack. Hamlin being shown now in 36th position. Back up front, it is Jimmy Johnson trying to hold on for the final 36 laps here. Back after this message and a word from our ABC station. Laps clicking away here at the Pepsi 500 at California. Jimmy Johnson is our leader. Juan Pablo Montoya second. Gordon Martin and Kurt Busch at top 5. And folks, a week ago it was the final pit stop of the day at Kansas Speedway that determined who was going to win this race. Win that race, and of course the money stop coming up here just a few laps from now. What are they thinking about in the 48 pits? Dave.
Well, Doc, I was going to ask our expert crew chief what they might do, because remember what bit Chad Knaus last week, middle of the race, he gave his driver 4 tires, but cost him track position, and he apologized to him on the radio. End of the race, he took 2 and got beat by the guys that took on 4 tires. Andy, what do you do?
Well, I'm going to get 4, Dave. I'm going to stop a little bit early, get 4 tires. If it goes green, I'm not going to run my tank completely out of fuel. I'm going to try to stop just a little bit early and then get those 4 tires and try to force some other guys to get on pit road. That's what I'm doing if I'm Chad Knaus.
Remember, this 48 team, they've had some issues, not major issues, but some subtle issues with some of their pit stops today, which have cost them positions on the yellow flag pit stop.
But boy, they've had a car that can overcome all of that. I mean, they have lost quite a few spots on pit road. Jimmy just goes back out on the racetrack and just gets them all back.
Yeah, and I think the key thing that you said there, Andy, was force the other guy's hands. Every time we've seen green flag pit stops, as soon as the leader starts coming in, everybody hits pit road because the new tires make so much of a difference for a number of laps, and you can't give up that time.
It's 30 laps to go right now, so you're looking at they can probably go another 10, maybe a few laps past that, but I would start thinking about coming down pit road in the next 2 or 3 laps.
There's Mark Martin coming by, so it's Johnson, Montoya, Gordon Martin, and Kurt Busch. The top 5 are all chase contenders. Mears 6, Casey Kane up in the 7th.
Right now, I'm on the box. I'm thinking, okay, if I can't beat Jimmy any other way, I mean, you can see he's faster than everybody, but if I pit right now and come down pit road and get 4 tires, I'm going to go out there and make up a lot of time, and if it goes green, I might have a shot of beating him. Some of the guys in the top 5 here, top 6, that want to gamble, this is their opportunity right now.
Would it be Montoya? How about Jeff Gordon, a teammate? Could Martin do that? Right now, Jimmy Johnson has taken the points lead here. The 83 car, Brian Vickers, we told you that they had a shock issue, and they were certainly having some problems. They had to put rubbers in the right rear just to keep the car on the racetrack. Let's update exactly what happens. We'll go down to Tim Brewer in our Craftsman Tech garage.
Thanks, Jerry. This is the actual shock absorber that came off the car. But in this area right here, there's a couple of different ways that teams use for mounting the shock absorbers. This is mounted on a stud. But a lot of teams actually put a piece of tubing through this particular piece of tubing, insert the bolt over here in a hex formation to where you don't have to hold it on that side. You just simply put the shock absorber up there and bolt the thing up. But each team has different methods of affixing the shock absorbers to the race cars.
Thank you, Tim. And of course, if the mount breaks, and as DJ and Andy were talking about, the only option you got is to take it to the garage and weld it, but you don't have time to do that during the race.
Nope, and he's actually not running too bad. They've kind of patched it up a little bit and running pretty decent without that shot.
Remember, these guys were able to get in a chase by changing an axle on pit road at Atlanta. That quick thinking there, changing the axle without losing a lap, is what allowed them to get in the chase by just 9 points over Kyle Busch.
Yeah, but one thing they need to start focusing on is trying to eliminate the failures altogether, not how they react to them.
How soon will Jimmie Johnson come? They're all going to have to come, as you heard Andy Petrie say, probably in the next 7 to 9 laps. Will he come early? Will someone else come before he does?
Here comes Gordon. Racing Montoya now for second. This 24 has been the fastest car on the racetrack here the last 5 or 6 laps.
Jeff Gordon in the same car that finished second here back in February, side by side with Montoya. Every position, every point, very important here in what has been the closest chase in the 6-year history of the postseason for NASCAR. Montoya just drives it right back by him coming up off the corner.
Yeah, it's getting too close to the end of the race to give that spot away. You got to race him hard. I still think that Gordon's going to get by Montoya.
Yeah, this is where he's been better than Montoya. We've watched him gain that time. He's able to really get off this corner, but with Montoya there, he's not going to be able to use the whole racetrack. I thought he was going to use up a lot more. That was really close, but Montoya's really good on the top side down in 1 and 2.
We're losing too much time. This time, let's do it.
There it is. That's Jeff Gordon's crew chief saying, this time, let's do it. We're losing time. He's going to force some of these other leaders to get on pit road.
Yeah, he's going to force his teammate to get on pit road because he's not that far behind. I mean, they're 4 seconds back of Jimmie Johnson, but these tires can make a huge difference, so they're going to have to get here quickly after Jeff Gordon gets on pit road, too.
Jeff driving in the corners, turn 3. Down on the apron. We'll see just how far he can drive it around before he has to slow up to get on pit road.
Comes pretty good, yeah.
He does a good job right here.
Really good. He's that first pit as they come off.
And down to 55 miles an hour. Jamie.
This has to be the money stop for Jeff Gordon. Made the call right now to come in. 4 tires right now is the call. Fill it up with fuel. Car has been good. He hasn't said a word this stint, and that's the first time all day long. Yep, they're going around the left side. It's 4 tires indeed. In the 88, Dale Earnhardt Jr. decided he wants to come in. Surprisingly, he's been saying this car hasn't been great. You see him slide, lock him up, come into his pit box, take a windshield tear off there, working on the right side. His car has been pretty good. Soaking it up with fuel going around. It'll be 4 tires for the 88, guys.
Carl Edwards almost missed pit road. He jammed the brakes on it and had a big plume of smoke behind his 99 car.
Yeah, now he's in the pits, and now Jimmie Johnson, our leader, is on pit road.
Vince.
The 99 of Carl Edwards had a bad entry into his pit box last time, costing some positions. Much smoother this time, but they still are fighting a loose car. Air pressure adjustment all the way around, and chassis as well. Dave?
First, second, and third, all on pit road. Jimmie Johnson taking just the air pressure adjustment. Mark Martin wants no adjustments to his race car. Juan Pablo Montoya needs a slight adjustment. His car is loose on the gas. They leave. Mark Martin leaves. Third, it stays. Jimmie Johnson, Juan Pablo Montoya, Mark Martin going off pit road.
3 very good pit stops by the first, second, and third place cars. Good effort by Jimmie Johnson's bunch when they had to get it done. Here is Greg Biffle in the pits.
16 car started loose. Now it's starting to tighten up. They're going to make a wedge adjustment and air pressure. This team has been so solid on pit road. Hopefully Greg Biffle can make up some time on the racetrack.
Money stop, final stop of the day. Here comes the 2 car of Kurt Busch. Let's go back to Shannon.
Kurt Busch is still a little bit concerned about making too many adjustments this late in the game. They want to get it right for the short run, but they're not going to make any changes to this 2 car. Just 4 tires for Kurt Busch at a tear-off. He says he's a little bit loose in and tight in the center. Vince.
The 9 car of Casey Kane, they just keep coming back. They won't go away. Give credit to driver who's been up on the wheel and the crew who continues to get it done. They're making a big air pressure adjustment here. 4 tires for Kane. Still doesn't have enough grip, is his comment.
Cycling through, Tony Stewart will be shown as our leader. He has yet to make his final stop. There's the 14 car that has come from a lap down after a speeding penalty the last time he was on pit road to now be the leader here. with just 20 laps to go next time by.
I don't know about this strategy of staying out here, Andy.
The only way that it would pay off is if he had any outside chance of making it all the way here, and I don't think he can. Here comes Paul Menard.
Have Ryan McRae there, the rear tire carrier, and we'll watch this pit stop from West Coast viewpoint.
Yeah, you can see right here, the teamwork involved. Coming around to the left side, got to grab that tire off the pit wall. Had just a little hiccup there with the tire changer. They're down and away.
He will leave pit road, and Tony Stewart staying on the racetrack now.
Yeah, he's about a second and a half off of Jimmy Johnson, who's running second.
We should have done it with everybody else there. We're going to have to try to make it the shortest stop as we can.
Yeah, they're still talking about stopping.
Yeah, and they may opt for just 2 tires or something here, or just possibly fuel only. Something like that. Just be on pit road the shortest amount of time and see if they can make up a little bit that way.
Yeah, that may not be a good strategy here because he's going to lose a lot of time, and he's going to be basically in the way of the cars that are running on 4 tires.
I tell you, Stewart, it looks like he can stay out the lap 2:37, but Andy, I agree with you. Everything he's done with Tony Stewart right now doesn't look like it's going to work for him. If he does 2 tires, he'll pick up a little bit of ground out there, but still, the pace is going to be way off those guys with 4 tires. It looks like to me like Johnson and Gordon and Montoya and Martin did the right thing. They stopped about 3 laps short, like you guys were saying. It looks like that's probably going to win him the race.
What Jimmy Johnson and Rusty trying to dodge. He got right up behind David Gilliland, subbing for Kyle Busch, able to get by. Yeah, you're exactly right, Rusty. Last week it was a different story for Tony Stewart. The 2-tire call on the final pit stop with 29 laps so got him the victory at Kansas, but a 2-tire stop here. 2 tires, no match for 4 here at California.
Yeah, but Jimmy's having a little trouble here. Plus, Jeff Gordon did a great job on and off pit road. When that whole sequence started, he was 4 seconds back. He's less than 2 seconds behind Jimmy Johnson right now.
See, now Carl Edwards passing Tony Stewart. Now, Tony Stewart does have a 12-second lead. It's going to cost him about 30 to 40 seconds of track time to make that pit stop, even if he just gets fuel.
83 Vickers in for his final stop.
Pressurize it, pressurize it, pressurize it, pressurize it.
Yeah, you can see right there, they got that fuel. They was putting it in there in the cowl area. Must have been right there on the edge of running out.
Inside of 20 laps to go, Tony Stewart just trying to hang on there to his final stop, and as he said on the radio a minute ago to his crew chief Darian Grubb, make it as short as we possibly can.
Yeah, they're coming this time. 4 tires.
I'm going to see what they're going to do. Probably a 2-tire stop and a can of fuel. It's going to take about 1 full can to make it to the end.
Pitting up at the 4th turn end of pit road, he will come down and have to get down to 55 miles an hour and only have about 200 or 300 yards to go down to his final stop. Let's see what they do. Jamie.
It has been 41 laps since the 14th minute. The audible was 4 tires and 1 can of fuel. You see him holding the tires on the right side there. It is going to be 4 tires. They must have been listening to you guys, Doc.
I think they thought they were losing just too much time on the racetrack to go with that strategy, so they decided to come in and get those 4 tires.
Well, they did lose too much time. I mean, stayed out there. They were losing a second a lap, and I think that's going to cost them spots on the racetrack as we have caution on the racetrack right now.
Debris on the back straightaway now with 15 laps to go and caution being shown for the 6th time today.
Okay, this is going to be interesting right here. Now, Tony Stewart just made that pit stop. He obviously does not need to come in again.
As I look at the running order, I see John Andretti up in the 8th spot. He had stayed out there. He's been battling back and forth on the racetrack all day, getting laps back, taking waiver rounds. But, a nice job by he and his team. Well underfunded team, but making the right calls and having things kind of go their way.
There's Jimmy Johnson, and there was caution. There was debris on the back straightaway, so NASCAR's observers saw that, put it out for the 6th time here. Final 15 laps.
That was the best case scenario for Tony Stewart, to make that stop and then the caution come out.
There's the 34 car that Dale Jarrett was just talking about, John Andretti. He has not come on pit road for his final stop. He last pitted on lap 191.
Well, they just made strategy work all day for them. Obviously hadn't had the fast car, but they've stayed around there and been able to stay on the lead lap and doing things well. And is anybody going to pit here?
Well, it's
up
good.
Front?
I doubt it. I don't think you're going to see the leaders pit, but some of the cars that are a little bit back on the lead lap will come in.
We do have 25 cars on the lead lap. Elliott Sadler right now in 25th, the last car on the lead lap.
Right now, Tony Stewart's in 20th spot.
The 44 car down there looking, he's the first car a lap down, Allmendinger.
Yeah, you look at Gordon. Gordon wants to come down pit road.
Well, it's a tough spot when you're that leader once again. Trying to make that call if those guys hang you out there. But we really don't see that happening.
So John Andretti did come on pit road. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the 9th place car in. Jamie.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. back again, trying to get more tires. They're getting a little bit fresh rubber. They had nothing to lose there. They've been top 10 all day, and they're going to make it 4 tires again this time, Shannon.
Car's just a little bit tight for Greg Biffle. They're saying they are only going to make a 2-tire change right now for the 16, and that's exactly what it was, guys. Vince?
Carl Edwards, he's been loose all day, but now he says it's too tight for the short run, so they're making a wedge adjustment and 4 tires. It's going to be his only chance if he's going to make any noise here at the finish. They've got to get it right on this stop.
So some of these guys at the tail end of the lead lap coming in for 4 fresh tires, and with the double file restarts on a super speedway like this, these guys can dig in these final laps and make up some ground.
See the hood up on this one car. I don't know what the issue is.
Yeah, Doc, you're exactly right about that. That allows these crew chiefs and drivers to take some calculated risk and gambles here because of that double file restart. You're not nearly as far back, and it will allow you to possibly make something good happen.
And the further back in the lineup, the less you have to lose by making that pit stop. Now, if you're the leader, that's a big decision.
Yeah, it is. And, of course, Junior, he was up in the top 10 whenever he made that decision to come down and get tires here. But we've seen the new tires be extremely fast and make a real difference in speed.
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was 9th when he came down pit road. We'll see if he, and remember he took 4 tires, and as you heard, Biffle only took 2. Jimmy Johnson will get the bonus points for leading the most laps today. And let's update what was going on with the 1 car. Vince.
Well, Martin Truex Jr. has had a pretty good run today, but says that the car was missing, so they weren't 100% sure whether it was electrical or a fuel pump issue, but they hope to have that taken care of. They were up under the hood. They'll give an update as Martin gets back up under power here and gets under the gas, but they weren't 100% sure what the issue was.
Well, Vince, I just heard that audio from that engine. It's not electrical. That's a bad sign right there. That's something internal. I'm not going to be able to fix that. It sounds real flat.
Our leader, Jimmy Johnson, then beside him is his teammate, Jeff Gordon. Let's listen to the 24 radio.
Man, you're better than him, buddy. You're better than him. You're catching him. You're leaving the 42. It's going to be a shootout. You're the best here, man. You know how to do it.
Well, this is one of those times that the crew chief's not just pumping his driver up. I mean, he wants to pump him up, but he's telling the truth. His car was faster. And I think that Jimmy Johnson may be playing into Jeff Gordon's hand right here, too. We see him choose that outside lane. Jeff Gordon's car's been really good on the bottom of the racetrack.
Right behind it. I tell you what, this 07 car, you can't say enough about what Casey Mears has done. The entire RCR organization. Another California boy, 9 drivers here today that were born in the state of California. Casey Mears from Bakersfield, just doing a heck of a job.
Yeah, and right behind him, lining up, is going to be his teammate, Kevin Harvick. Another solid run for him. So things are looking up for RCR and his group.
And just a little bit behind these is Tony Stewart. That was a great break for him to have that caution come out right as he made that pit stop. Best case scenario for the 14 team.
All right, Jimmy Johnson, the leader. What about Jeff Gordon? Has he got something for his teammate Johnson? They think he does, and right behind him is Montoya.
He had some on that restart right there. That was a great job by Jeff Gordon.
That's about the best you can do right there and not beat the leader to the line.
Maybe 3 wide here in just a second. No, Gordon's able to take control of this right now.
Be 11 laps to go when they come by, and Jeff Gordon takes the lead. Montoya now battling for second spot.
I tell you, Jeff Gordon's going to be hard to beat. Look at this 3-4 wide battle.
Yeah, we might not have seen our last caution here, guys.
Look
Wow,
at
look
Warrior
at
and
this.
Burden downstairs, and Gordon all the way down on the middle of that white line.
That's where his car's been fast, and he's not going to change that. See Montoya slide right up in front of Mark
Kurt Busch
Martin.
is in the wall.
Oh, trouble.
Oh, there's Casey Kane across, and he takes Biffle with him. Sliding down across the grass here at over 170 miles an hour, and the caution waving again here at California.
Right front will not roll. Now it's rolling.
As I say, business is picking up there as they get down to these final laps. Guys had on fresh tires. Some had fresh tires. Others had older tires on, trying to make that work.
And aside from these two, the guy that hates to see the caution flag most is Jeff Gordon, who got that great restart a moment ago against his teammate.
Man, he was on it. I mean, he didn't beat Jimmy Johnson back then. I mean, it was just less than a foot, but then he
timed it
accelerate.
perfect.
Oh, he did.
And now what's he going to do? Is he going to choose the inside on this restart? I have to think so. I don't understand why these guys keep picking the outside.
I'd be really disappointed if he doesn't, but, you know, these guys are the ones driving the cars. We only watch from above here.
Well, I'll show you these two chase cars involved in this one. Top of your screen.
Yeah, that was Kurt Busch getting into the wall. You see him get it extremely loose. Then he comes back and gets into Casey Kane, who Greg Biffle was just trying to miss all of that and got in the middle of it.
And Kurt Busch drives away. He didn't mean to do that, but he's the one that got loose and caused this. He's pedaling the car hard.
Kurt Busch.
Line here, bud. Outside. Caution's out, outside.
All right, from Casey Kane's cameras, his viewpoint of the two in front of him.
You can see he sees that happening. He just tries to get down. He thinks it's okay.
Action left rear.
As Kurt came off the wall, his car was still actually spinning the rear tires and drove him right down into Casey Kane.
Casey Kane was poised to have his third consecutive top 10 finish in the chase after having that DNF in New Hampshire for the engine failure. Now from the Goodyear blimp high above, watch the action here at the bottom of your screen.
Man, that's it's got to be helpless feeling right there.
Finished watching this. I was looking at the run down here. Ryan Newman, who had trouble as he see this work going on in Greg Biffle's car, but he had that tire problem early in the race and was really battling his car. He's up in the 5th spot now.
And Tony Stewart is in the top 10. So the Stewart Haas car.
Yeah, Cahoes is not going to get on the tire, right? Ain't got a fender brace broke off, sticking on a tire or anything. Get out.
It's a fire drill down there when you're trying to fix a wrecked car. I mean, you're just trying to do all you can do and try to stay on the lead lap. Just try to get it where it'll roll.
Greg Biffle coming off that third place finish at Kansas. He had gained a spot in the points up to 8th position. And that's what's left of the grass on the front straightaway out of the front of the 16 car of Biffle. Damage on the 9 car. The Dodge of Casey Kane. Front end damage, right side damage.
I think you need to get that right front fender cleared. Still amazing to me how tough this new car is. I mean, it can really take a beating. See that water coming out of the overflow. They're trying to clean it. You see the grill brush they're using to try to get all that grass out of the grill. That's what's causing it to overheat right now. You can see it's just a fire drill.
Left rear tire. Just make sure that crush panel's not going to get on the tire. Push it forward. Do whatever you got to do there.
That's Kenny Francis, the crew chief, directing all this from top of the pit box.
See right above him, see the 16 coming back in. There were repairs on Greg Biffle's car. So you got both the damaged cars on pit road.
Yeah, Biffle still has a lot of something rubbing there. You see a lot of smoke coming from his car just going down pit road at 55 miles an hour.
They're going to use all the time they can. The pace car is just now into turn 3, middle of 3 and 4, so they can still work for a little longer. The spotter's going to be the one
get ready here.
giving them all the information on where the pace car is. And now the crew chief can see the pace car.
Get the left rear on it. You got the left rear on it? All right, crank it back up. Crank it up.
They will get the 1 to go. The 20 car got the free pass, by the way, Joey Logano, so he's able to go around and get back on the lead lap. Be 27 cars on the lead lap here with less than 10 laps to go. Let's go down and talk to the leaders, crew chiefs, Dave.
And Doc, as he watches now to see where his teammate chooses, okay, that matters because Mark Martin was running 4th, and now Chad is talking to Jimmy right now. You'll have a teammate behind you, Chad, instead of an adversary. How important was that?
That's fine. As long as it's somebody that'll push like hell, that's all that matters. You know, I mean, we've had a great race car all day long. I just couldn't be happier for everybody over here. You know, Jimmy Johnson Foundation on the race car. They had a great event this weekend in San Diego. Raised a lot of money for a lot of needed people. So it's awesome. It's just it's great to be coming out here and leading laps and running up front. It's what it's all about. These guys have done a great job in the pits all day, and it's far from over.
That's right. Exciting things yet to happen, Jamie.
Well, Jeff Gordon proved he could get up front and run there for 2 laps. Do you guys have enough to do it for 8 laps on this final restart?
I hope so. You know, the DuPont Pepsi Chevrolet hasn't been as good as we needed all weekend long, but hopefully we got it better here at the end. Picker's done a great job. Jeff's done a great job. We just a win here would be great. It'd be great for the team. It'd be great for me. I'd love it. It'd be a good momentum builder.
I guess I was wishful thinking, Doc. I said last restart. Who knows? We could have a few like yesterday.
Well, we could. And guys, we might mention the 19 and 43, Sadler and Sorensen, 12th and 13th. So they really moved up in there. They are moved up in the standings. You see Dale Earnhardt Jr., with those 4 fresh tires. He'll now be able to restart up there in 11th position. And as I'm watching, the 24 car, guys, has chosen the outside line.
I don't get that. I really don't. I mean, he just beat Jimmy on the inside after Jimmy actually controls the start. He could control the start and start on the inside. To me, I just don't understand why he would choose the outside.
Yep. The more I watch, the less I know. Yep. Anyway, let's see what happens. Maybe it'll work for Jeff Gordon. He's a 4-time champion. Boy, he's got a great start.
He's got the start. He's got a teammate behind him, Mark Martin, and he will have it by a couple of car lengths. Look at Kurt Busch on the bottom of the racetrack. And
look at Montoya 3 wide.
Montoya trying to hold the bottom. Jimmy Johnson takes a position. Gordon's got him by 2 car lengths. They were 3 wide coming off of turn 2 a moment ago.
David Reagan made a great move on the outside in that UPS Ford. Best run he's had all year.
Carl Edwards down on the bottom of the racetrack. They're side by side for position. Montoya and Martin now for 3rd spot.
See, one of the cars smoking in that group. Here comes Jimmy now. He's still working on it. They come to the inside of Jeff Gordon.
Kurt Busch smoking a lot. He's got damage from that last incident.
Jimmy Johnson goes by and takes a position, or does he, as Jeff Gordon can try to get back.
Trouble!
Sideways down across the racetrack.
I know Marcus Ambrose is involved in that.
Elliott Sadler, Reed Sorensen.
Allmendinger is there, the 31 of Jeff Burton, who was having such a good run. Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Man, a lot of cars torn up here.
These guys were 4 wide just going across the start-finish line. You had to think something was going to happen.
Hang in there.
All these cars that were running 10th, 11th, 12th. There's the 9 car. Casey Kane again involved.
Yeah, this one's going to be a lot harder to fix.
I was going to say he won't be involved anymore.
There's Dale Earnhardt Jr. had those fresh tires and was back in 11th position.
They're going to red flag this race and stop him in turn 4 because they've got just so much debris down there on the racetrack. See, Junior, he was driving the wrong way. See Allmendinger out of his car.
There's the 19 of Elliott Sadler, who had driven his way all the way up into 13th position. Let's show you 47, Marcus Ambrose. He was on the inside. He got right side damage. He's trying.
Do not touch it. Do not touch the car. Just get in here and look through.
Yeah, that's Frankie Kerr. He's saying don't touch the car because you cannot work on the car during a red flag. That stops everything.
There's the 83 car. Damage on the front of another chase contender. Let's show you what happened and how this all unfolded entering turn 1.
You can see there are at least 4 wide here, but it looks like
first contact looked to me like it was Elliott Sadler into the back of Junior.
Yes, I was going to say and that's what triggered everything, but they were only asking for trouble at 4 wide. We've talked about how wide a racetrack this is, but
it wasn't wide enough for that. I mean, It's just, you know, these guys are trying to get everything they can and trying to bump draft on this straightaway, too.
Yeah, they're just trying to push there and probably just a little bit too much of a push.
Wow, do you see Reed Sorensen's car came off the ground?
47 car back and forth, bucking like a Bronco on left tires and right side tires.
A really bad wreck for Richard Petty Motorsports. Every one of his cars.
Right there, all 4 of them involved.
Yeah.
three of them piled up in a pile there for a while.
From Casey Kane's onboard camera now coming out of turn 4 down the straightaway.
You can see there were already some rubbing going on coming out of turn 4. These guys just battling as hard as they can right here at the end of the race, trying to get the spots. And now's when it's all going to happen.
Get low. Come through the middle, right where you're at. Keep coming straight.
Michael Walter drove right through the center of that. You see even Matt Kenseth got damaged.
Casey Kane got the back of the 31 of Jeff Burton. Watch him 4 wide there. Oh.
See all the parts and pieces flying off of them?
Well, that's unfortunate. There were a lot of guys that were looking at some promising days after maybe struggling. Elliott Sadler and Reed Sorensen, and have it all to go away. Casey Kane had battled his way up in the top 10 before the last one.
So we go into the red flag with just 5 laps to go, 5 in the distance from where the field is parked in turn 4 to the start-finish line. From the ESPN pit studio, Alan Bestwick, Rusty Wallace, Brad Doherty getting set for what should be a crazy sprint to the finish of what has been a pretty... Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon with Juan Pablo Montoya nearby. How about a big tip of the cap to David Reagan, 5th car in line right now. He's kind of come from a long way back today to have a nice showing so far.
Yes, he has. And also Casey Mears. Look at Casey. He's up there mixing it up with the boys today. 2 good runs for those young men. And hopefully, maybe we'll see one of those guys in Victory Lane here in about 15 minutes.
It wouldn't surprise me if the top 4 all ended up in a smoking pile, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
This is a great shot, guys, for Tony Stewart to redeem himself after that pit road speeding penalty. He's already up to the 6th position right now. He'll be starting probably 3rd row outside. He's got a shot to get some spots picked up.
Tony Stewart hanging in there right now in 6th position. Hey, it's Sunday night. ABC's Desperate Housewives, all new tonight. Everything you expect from Desperate Housewives, lovers, liars, and alibis.
Yes, sir.
Tonight, an old fling comes back to tempt Gabby in what could be the hottest episode of the season.
Okay.
ABC's Desperate Housewives, tonight, 9 Eastern and 8 Central. We got some desperate drivers on the track looking for a win as they form the field up and we get ready to go. Let's go back upstairs to Dr. Jerry Punch, Dale Jarrett, and Andy Petrie. Pull those seatbelts tight, gentlemen.
We will indeed, Alan. Thank you very much. And it is decision time for Jimmy Johnson. And the guys, the last time Jimmy Johnson restarted on the outside, his teammate Jeff Gordon beat him on the inside. What does he take now on the restart?
That's a good question. I've been wrong every time. So I don't know why you asked me.
What are you going to do?
I would take the inside. He got the lead last time by having the inside there. I know these guys obviously think there's something to keeping that inside guy pinned down, but I haven't really seen that work quite as much. So it will be interesting to see which line he chooses.
Jeff Gordon started on the outside last time, and it didn't work for him. But when Jimmy Johnson started on the outside, it didn't work for him either.
Yeah.
So let's see if he takes the outside or the inside. And Mark Martin is back there hoping, I don't care which way you guys go. I'm going to try to get around both of you and win this thing.
I bet you Montoya is going to make it 3 wide somewhere between 1 and 2.
You can't make a mistake. Still 22 cars on the lead lap here, so you got to, you can't put yourself in a position to either get a flat tire out of close racing here or something like that. So, we've already seen one big wreck there. And, that whole wreck there, as we watched that replay, putting blame on somebody there. We said Elliott Sadler ran into the back of the 88, and that appeared to be what happened. But it was everybody bumping. That's, if you've ever heard us say, hey, that was just one of those racing accidents, I think that's exactly what it was. Inside of 10 laps, everybody trying to get everything. We may have another one before this is over.
On pit road, the 29 car coming down. There's Harvick, there's Kenseth, 98 Menard, the 18 of Gillen. There's the damaged car of Biffle in.
It's 1 to go.
Matt Kenseth on the lead lap was being shown back in 15th position.
Yeah, he had a little damage there from that dust up. We see Harvick now electing to get some tires.
So they will come around and take the green flag with 3 laps to go here at California. These guys getting fresh rubber. Just 7 points separating Jimmy Johnson right now, our points leader, and Mark Martin in 2nd spot in terms of the point standings. And right now, they are going to start nose to tail with Johnson the leader, and Johnson does take the inside.
Yeah, and that could all change by the time they get back around here. Mark Martin gets a good start and can make it 3 wide or something and shift Jimmy back a couple of spots, then he retakes the lead.
Points across the top of your screen. You see how close it is. Montoya there. The top 5 just over 100 points apart, folks. That is as tight as it has ever been in the 6-year history of the chase.
Yeah, and Kurt Busch only 121 back. That's certainly not out of the chase whatsoever.
Looks like Jimmy took your advice, Dale. He's on the inside.
Well, I've been wrong before, but I just what we've seen, this inside just seems to be. He's going to control the start either way, and I think you just give yourself a better chance from that inside position.
Jimmy Johnson, a
1 and 2.
4-time winner, a 3-time winner here. Jeff Gordon, a 3-time winner here. Who's it going to be? Teammates side by side. Martin behind him. Montoya on a mission. Here they come. It'll be 3 to go as the green flag waves.
Well, Jeff got a good start. I mean, that's a really good start for Jeff Gordon. As good as you can time it.
Tony Stewart trying to look to the outside, falls back in line behind Montoya. Look at Montoya going high.
Now, who can stand the throttle off of turn 2 is going to be the most important thing. Jimmy slides right up in front of Jeff Gordon.
Clear.
You see a lot of dust flying down in 1 and 2.
Come on, give me 3 good laps.
2 to go this time. Mark Martin there battling with the 14 of Tony Stewart for position. That's 4th spot.
Comes Gordon trying to make the inside work off of turn 4. Jimmy Johnson with a nice run off of that corner.
2 to go this time by. Jimmy Johnson just pulling away now, 10 car lengths over Jeff Gordon. Look at Gordon motoring back there coming out of turn 2.
Kurt Busch still smoking, but going fast. Trying to finish it out.
Mark Martin has dropped back a couple of positions and trying to hang on to that 4th spot as here's Tony Stewart, who has come from a lap down, battling side by side with Martin for 4th spot.
Oh man, look at Stewart sawing the wheel.
Watch out. See him really get loose coming up out of there. Had to get out of the throttle a little bit and fall back in behind Mark.
Here comes Montoya now for 2nd.
White flag, final lap here in California. Side by side action. Gordon and Montoya, 2nd position. Mark Martin is driven now out from underneath the 14 car. Here he comes trying to be a factor here, maybe to finish 3rd or 2nd.
Now that's say he'll go to the high side here and see if he can get by Montoya.
Montoya's going to try to block, but he
see Gordon all the way on the apron.
Jimmy Johnson coming down out of turn 4. What a job they have done again, and for the 2nd year, make it 3rd year in a row in the fall. Jimmy Johnson wins at California, and Gordon finishes 2nd.
Nice job, guys. Hell yeah. How about that, John? You got the job, man.
So Gordon, Montoya, Martin, and Stewart, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. What a job. There's Rick Hendrick congratulating Chad Knaus. What an effort there for Jimmy Johnson.
For me, with the foundation on the side being a home.
Well, Jimmy, just too tough today.
Jimmy, you did a great job today, man. Really good job.
Harvick came back for a top 10 finish after the pit stop.
Yeah, they were still 3 and 4 wide coming to the checkered flag there at the end of the race. A lot of great racing today. Jimmy Johnson, once again, just too good.
David Reagan getting his 2nd top 10 finish of the year, coming home in 7th position. Fireworks going off behind the racetrack. We had fireworks on the racetrack these final few laps. Let's go down to the 48 pit. Vince.
Well, it took a while with several restarts to get there, Chad, but you held off the field there at the finish. What does this do for you guys in your chase for another championship?
Well, obviously, it's monumental. You know, to be able to come out here and run the way that we did, I couldn't be happier. You know, Jimmy Johnson Foundation on the Lowe's Chevrolet this weekend, and they did a fantastic job out in San Diego this week and raised a lot of money for a lot of needy people. So it's great. And it's great to be able to come out here and represent in front of Jimmy's hometown in El Cajon, and it's awesome. I just can't thank everybody at Hendrick Motorsports enough. You guys build the best engines and the best chassis and the best bodies out there, and we couldn't do it without them.
Mark Martin calls Jimmy Johnson Superman. Hard to argue with it today, Alan.
Big celebration now for Jimmy Johnson. You've heard the words from him over his team radio about how thrilled he is to win this race. You heard from his crew chief what it means, and Jimmy Johnson's now the championship leader as he tries for history for a 4th consecutive title. He leads Mark Martin by just 12 points, though. Wow. What a tight championship that is.
It really is. And look, Montoya gets another top 5 finish. That's 4 in a row. Jeff Gordon, best run of the season. And hopefully we can keep this thing close going to next week. Might mix it up a little bit. Jamie, you got a little something to add on Jeff Gordon?
Well, he's climbing out of his car right now and a smile on his face. Valiant effort. Probably the best the car had been there toward the end. Jeff, what was it like on those restarts, inside, outside?
We were just trying to make it interesting because nobody else seemed to be able to do that for the 48, and we certainly couldn't on that last run. Great day for our DuPont Pepsi Chevrolet. You know, we really fought hard all day and all weekend to get ourselves in that position, and had a couple good restarts. But I mean, they're in another category, you know, and we gotta find out what we're missing. But real proud of Steve and all the guys on this team. They had great pit stops, very solid effort. Come home second today is definitely something we're very proud of.
And he gained 2 more spots in the points. He is now 5th. Shannon?
Juan Pablo Montoya checking out where he is in the points right now. That was some great racing at the end of that race. What was it like for you out there today, Juan?
It was fun. You know, I was actually very pleased when that red flag came out because we managed to go down the tires a little. And the starting show was good all day. We were really good when it was cloudy. When the sun came out, we started sliding too much and couldn't really find the balance between how much grip I wanted in the middle corner and how much I wanted to put the power down. I just couldn't. There at the end, it cooled down. It got a little better, but it was too late.
Another top 5 for Juan Pablo Montoya and the 42 team. Vince?
With Mark Martin, and Mark finishes 4th today, slips out of the points lead now, 12 behind Jimmy Johnson, and Mark just finishing up here. Mark, what was the difference between 1st and 4th today? It was so small, it seemed.
Well, we were real close. I'm real proud of our Kellogg's CarQuest Chevrolet and our team, and these guys are so awesome. They brought me all weekend. Great race car, great job, great adjustments. And you know, we made progress with the race car, and there was a time when we could go out front, but you know, we were right there. I'm just proud. I couldn't be more thrilled to be driving that 5 car.
Jamie?
And Tony Stewart, what an eventful day for him. Ends up bringing it at home 5th. Tony, what does this say about your team? You guys overcame being a lap down and still finished 5th.
This team never quits. It never has. It never will. So. And that's the attitude at Office Depot and Old Spice and everybody at U.S. Army and Coke and Stewart Haas Racing. So, you know, just a long day for sure. I mean, we got a couple really lucky breaks that helped us there at the end, getting us back on the lead lap. And, you know, when we were in pit lane there and got the caution, so it got us a little bit of that track position back. We had a good enough car to get back. We just fought. We could not get going at the beginning of a run for anything. It took us 6 or 8 laps to get going every time.
All right, Tony Stewart remains 4th in points right now. Alan?
Thank you, Jamie. A reminder that the chase moves across the country for next weekend's race, which is on Saturday night. It's the NASCAR Banking 500, only from Bank of America. ABC 7 Eastern time next Saturday. The very fast 1.5 mile track in Charlotte. One of the drivers' favorites. Certainly provides a lot of great action we've seen over there over the years. And we look forward to that one next Saturday night at 7 Eastern here on ABC. So Jimmy Johnson has pulled into our Transformers victory lane, and the race winner about to celebrate with his team and share his thoughts with us. Jimmy unbuckling, getting done. Rusty, you know what that feels like.
Oh, he's just taking it in right now. I can't believe it. He's so excited. He's got his Jimmy Johnson's foundation on the side of the car. Makes him extra proud. What a fantastic job this guy did. I mean, just worked the track perfectly today. Moved into the points lead, 12-point lead right now. Here he comes, guys.
Well, the colors are slightly different on the car and the driver's suit, but the black and white checkered flag once again waves for Jimmy Johnson. 3rd year in a row at the fall race, Jimmy. And a big hug to the new guy. I mean, I know you had some issues on pit road. It wasn't anything he had to do with, but did that worry you early on, Jimmy?
You know, it's such a long race and so much takes place that and I knew on pit road we'd win some, we'd lose some, and I knew that first stall down at the end was really the magic thing, and then he had it working great for him. But just a solid day all along. So proud of this Lowe's team. So thankful for Lowe's to allow me to put the foundation on the side of the car, and we had store 2712 riding with us today, so it's nice to do that for them. But man, what an awesome car, what an awesome day. Those cautions at the end really had me nervous, and just didn't know what to do on the restarts. 24 would get me on some of them. The 42 was racy. I knew once we had 3 or 4 laps I was in good shape, but
there at the end, I really didn't have many laps. So I'm glad I got a good start and got going.
You are the championship leader. What do you think of that?
Awesome. It's what we want. Keep chipping away at it. Obviously, a lot of racing left, but we're in good shape. And my home state, Foundation on the side of the car. Fans are going crazy. Can't thank them enough. So just really, really happy about what's going on. You guys are getting soaked over here on the side. So, and we're glad that Mr. Hendrick is here. He hasn't been in Victory Lane the last few wins that we've had, so it's nice to have him here.
Congratulations, Jimmy Johnson in Victory Lane.
So the Southern California native is now the all-time leading winner at this track in Southern California, and for the first time this season, Jimmy Johnson takes the championship lead. And now we move on to Charlotte for the next race in the chase. Look forward to seeing you for that one next Saturday night. Thanks for watching.